Dove tutti noi vediamo una pista ciclabile, l'artista vede un cielo stellato dipinto da Van Gogh. Dove un sarto vede un abito, l'artista vede uno strumento di difesa capace di tirar fuori delle lame quando la persona che lo indossa si sente aggredita. Dove un allevatore vede un pollo,
Something completely different. And when My name is Massimo Cerofolini. I'm the presenter of a radio broadcast program, Eta Beta. I welcome you all to this international symposium devoted to the combination between industry and creativity. It has now been welcomed by Meet Workshop Laboratory, where creativity and arts meet. It has just recently been opened. We'll tell you more about it today. We'll tell you about this happy marriage amongst very diverse disciplines that have been kept separate for a long time, but that can really deliver something unique and also necessary. Well, art, we do know, unfortunately, nowadays, because of anti-COVID measures, well, actually is experiencing a very gloomy moment. But perhaps the approach that we're adopting today may actually account for something new. Andrea Pontremoli, entrepreneur, visionary, manager, head of Dallara, making the most beautiful Formula 3 racing cars in the world, during an interview a few days ago said that COVID has actually reversed space and time parameters. So we used to have a lot of space, but little time because we're always in a rush. Now space is very small. We are isolated in flat apartment, but we have a great deal of time. Hence, from this new dimension, we may actually shift from a national thinking. So I'm trying to do as many things as possible at a lower cost to a critical thinking that actually allows me to ask myself the question, why am I doing this? And this is an artistic leap. And actually Pontremoli is now seeing his plan in a different way. And through rational things would just take the budget from prior year and just make small adjustments, whereas nowadays it is a brand new budget. And all of those troubles that he would be on because of a kind of a habit were dramatically reduced, also money-wise, and money has been actually, let's say, invested elsewhere on the well-being of workers and employees. So that is exactly what we're going to tackle today. So brand new opportunities for artists, as all economies and companies are now craving for some unusual thinking and approaches. This is not something aesthetic that designers and aesthetic artists will just, let's say, shape the new industrial dimension with, but it's more about finding the right answers which are being submitted by technology. Number one, how do we make technology more human? How do we make it more innovative and at the same time sustainable? These three questions will be addressed through a panel with different coordinators and will be preceded and followed by two inspirational speeches that will tell us how can we combine these strengths all together, which have been way separate for too long. I would like to first welcome the owner, the landlord here. She did open the venue literally yesterday. Art, science and technology are meeting here, trying to find the best answer and to provide something new and unusual. A person, it's a lady who with great passion has made the utmost efforts to do all this. Maria Grazia Mattei, President from Meet, welcome. I am so very honored of being here. It was a little more than a yard, and now I'm surrounded by the special effect delivered by Carlo Ratti. And well, yes, indeed, as Carlo loves to say, this is Meet, the venue, the name of the venue. And clinging back to what you're saying, we are becoming more and more, let's say, an artistic venue. And Meet with Fondazione Cariplo has been entirely revamped by Carlo Ratti. And this is actually 3 floors of interconnected spaces connected with the outside, inside, ready to transform itself into on-air web streamed venue. And as a friend of mine from Berlin likes to call it a trans-local venue. I'd love to take advantage of that actually to welcome all of the people who are listening to us on streaming. This day is currently being broadcast through Meet page. Thanks to STARS, we've been able to combine efforts all together to tackle some of the topics that you have touched base upon already. And I will go back on that in a moment. What I'd love to say before we get started, well, I'd love to say hello to my virtual guest. And on top of audiences, well, everybody else is actually sitting elsewhere for security reasons. Of course, we're fully adjusted to regulations. Ralph Dum is actually connected, is responsible designer of this beautiful program of GNet European Union project. It is a very broad project, very much focused on topic of technologies, art and science, considering enterprises. Considering the productive industry, economic industry, which needs to go towards creativity and make a great leap into the future. Meet will be about digital technology first and foremost, but this is also a physical hub that connects with the rest of the world and means to collaborate successfully with as many enterprises and local territories as much as possible, but also European actually. We are now already connected with some 25 other different hubs, and we're collaborating all together to disseminate all of that. And on top of that, very much an innovative thinking, as we said, for us to make the leap, a brand new leap towards innovation-based trajectories for economy. And it has to be a new thinking because, of course, it is triggered by a different way of using technologies. And this is very much digging into this new digital reality. Of course, at the center of all that, creativity. And this place, along with our European friends, means to become a place of exchanges of ideas, to deliver inspiration, and perhaps to shape new products, and listening to people who have ideas that they're happy to share with us. So I'd love to welcome you all once again. I'm so very happy that this venue, theatre, which is one of the venues, it is opening today with this International Symposium from STARS. And actually, we hope that we can welcome as many people in person also very soon. And hopefully we will become a very powerful venue for us to welcome many people. Of course, Meet is open. First and foremost, I'd love to say. So we're both working virtually as well as in person. I'd love to thank the team as well, Rosanna, and everybody else from Meet team. It's been a great effort in this case again. Well, some 7 years ago, we have considered this place, considering the digital side of that. So we're both physical and digital all together. But of course, unless we're man-centric, digital will just go its own way, and that won't make sense. And for us to actually allow people to speak, there's a Slido page where people may just step in, ask questions, and of course we'll perhaps ask questions to the speakers. So you have already introduced Dum, Senior Officer from DG Connect, European Commission.
Non lo sento. Ah, ecco, okay. Welcome here. So, what are the European programs about matching these two fields, creativity and industries?
I switched to English. I like listening to Italian, but I guess I better speak English. I guess the title of this meeting, Industry Meets Creativity, is very telling, right? So what exactly do we mean by that? Let me start by stating the obvious. In today's global competition, creativity becomes an imperative for all industry sectors. I have always been fascinated by the Italian capacity to link craft and technology with artistry, be it in car making, in mobility, or in creative industries like interior design or fashion. Unfortunately, many European industrial sectors have not yet understood this need to embrace creativity. Let me assure you that China has understood and is investing considerable amounts in activities that embrace collaboration of industry and creative sectors. To address this issue in Europe, we have launched, the European Commission has launched a small program called STARTS. Maria Grazia already mentioned it, Innovation at the Nexus of Science, Technology and the Arts. STARTS invites R&D projects to do artistic experimentation, to conceive of new pathways and uses for technology. To have artists and creatives mingle with engineers. To slowly overcome this typically European problem to consider industry and creative sectors as different worlds. I think this is more important today than it was ever due to the current crisis, where the art sector is hurt, very, very much hurt by this crisis. With the help of European Parliament, we went one step further with STARTS, and we have launched pilot projects that try to establish regional STARTS centers. That is venues where artists, businesses and technologists in a given region can work closely together. Meet, by the way, is part of one of these pilot projects. In the digital age, not only creativity, but adoption of digital technologies becomes a key competitive advantage. In the global race for technological dominance, Europe must seize opportunities from digital technologies. Unfortunately, again, here as well, uptake of digital in business is still lagging behind US or China. As a remedy, the Commission developed the concept of regional digital innovation hubs to boost use of digital in local businesses. Digital innovation hubs act as mediators, as missing links, if you wish, between digital industry and all other sectors of industry. Also, here it is clear that digital transformation is not only about efficiency and cost reduction, but about unleashing creativity. So digital and creativity are closely linked. Let me mention an American example, unfortunately, the iPhone. It is a paradigmatic example. It links digital technology with creative interfaces and creative business models. Steve Jobs considered the iPhone as a product at the intersection of technology and the liberal arts. If you wish, the iPhone is some sort of Gesamtkunstwerk, a total work of art. This suggests that bringing creativity into businesses and bringing digital into businesses go hand in hand. And this is why we link now this program we launched on STARTS with the program on digital innovation hubs. Let me point out that the digital transition, which we are currently in, is and will be a driving force to help Europe emerge stronger from the current crisis. This is why our historic recovery package, the Next Generation EU, that the Commission proposed and the EU leaders endorsed, focuses on accelerating digital and green transitions. The digital complements and enhances efforts towards a European Green Deal. As President Ursula von der Leyen emphasized in her State of the Union speech, we need to bring artistic thinking in our digital agenda and into the Green Deal. She condensed this idea into the concept of a 21st century European Bauhaus. She made, of course, reference to the movement of Bauhaus at the beginning of the 20th century that demanded that design and architecture must adopt the newest technologies, back then mass production and new materials, in order to be able to create a better living for all. I dare say STARTS to a large extent incorporates these ideas of the 21st century Bauhaus, where creativity meets industry. Today, these newest technologies are, of course, different. They are digital and they are biotechnologies, among others. A Gesamtkunstwerk, if you wish, today looks very different than during the Bauhaus times. As you know, Bauhaus introduced this idea of the Gesamtkunstwerk. So, as I said, we have to push for the digital, and at the same time, we have to understand that if we want to accelerate adoption of digital in all sectors of economy and in society at large, trust and acceptance are crucial. This is why Europe must promote a human-centered approach to innovation that is clearly distinct from United States or China, and that is rooted in our rich and diverse cultural heritage. Technology must include the human dimension from the outset. Humans must be able to trust and understand new technologies. Only then society and economy at large will embrace and adopt these technologies. To give you an example how we tackle that issue on a policy level, we have published in February 2020 a white paper on artificial intelligence that outlines a European approach to AI based on excellence and trust. It proposes guidelines for trustworthy artificial intelligence to guide our investments, our heavy investments in AI and data. Here as well, I dare say, artists have a crucial role to play. For instance, to give you an example, artists have proposed new workflows, how robots and workers in a factory can interact. So they arrived at a situation where workers no longer feel like Charlie Chaplin in his classical movie Modern Times, where he felt himself like a machine. So all this to say, digital and creativity go hand in hand, and STARTS is one small effort, I dare say, to help in this development. Let me finish by giving you 3 examples of how STARTS operates. We have the STARTS Residencies program that finances longer-term stays of artists in technology institutions. In one of these residencies, artists have used AI and augmented reality and virtual reality in a new approach to urban planning that implicates citizens better in the various planning processes. The artists have thereby created some sort of digital agora in which all citizens discuss together and decide on their own future. The annual STARTS Prize that we have launched honors successful collaborations between art and tech. This year's winner has worked with a biotech company, for example. She developed processes that allow design by decay. In other words, how the decay of one product could channel into the design of another. A third example, the STARTS annual AI and Music Festival explores the mutual fascination of the digital and music. Musicians starting with Karajan, with Herbert von Karajan, have always been early adopters of the digital. Also, computer scientists like Alan Turing, the godfather of computer science, were proudly presenting machines in 1951 that generated 3 simple melodies, that the first ever computer-generated music. So why would a technology directorate like ours launch a festival on AI and music? Often developers of digital technology lack empathy, lack the capacity to fully understand the challenges that arise when humans interact with machines. The festival presents music performances co-created by musicians and AI. Music thus becomes a laboratory to explore the relation of humans, musicians in this case, and AI systems. We expect that engineers can learn lessons how to handle many other interactions between humans and AI systems by looking at music. Meet, our host today, is where culture and digital meet. While historically Meet was perhaps more focused on the role of the digital in creative sectors, it has embraced very quickly the idea that we must enhance creativity in all of industry. The workshop today is in this respect breaking new grounds at the nexus of digital, industry, and art. And I look forward to hearing the presentations. Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph. Ralph Dam, Senior Office at the DG Connect, the European Commission. I switch to Italian, you can follow the translation in real time. Abbiamo sentito questo...
Okay, so this was to pay homage to the Bauhaus. Now, last year we have celebrated the first 100 years of the Bauhaus plus 500 years of Leonardo da Vinci. So this means that Europe has refreshed its DNA. Arts, sciences, technology, this is one pathway only. Now, prototyping is fundamental. What do I mean by this? Well, thanks to computing power, simulation and 3D printers, all of this can be made available quickly at low cost. But, creativity may add a key element. This thought is now much more human, and I'm talking about beauty. So this is poetry, if you will. And as I said before, from a bike path, the city may also receive the colors of Van Gogh sky. Art may also be a jewel to offer to your fiancé. So these are prototypes of the world. Now, Protopia. Protopia is created by our first international guest today. He will be talking about prototyping the world of tomorrow. He's an artist, innovator, Dan Rosegaard from Rotterdam.
So, tell us what about these rings with the pollution, the Van Gogh route.
Yeah, let's explore that. Maybe if you can put me full screen on the projector. Then. Well, first of all, Maria and team, congratulations with the opening of your new Meet Center, designed by my friend Carlo Ratti. Super exciting to see how you started your new adventure, and we wish you all the best and hope to be a part of that. All right. So the future is something I think extremely interesting. Because the future is not today 5% less worse, right? It's something new. It's something we have to explore. So we first have to imagine, have to wonder, have to think about it. And only then we can construct, engineer, prototype it, and drag it into reality. And I think this is really important, that we're not scared of the future, even in a world of today, but that we're curious, right? So I want to talk about that and show you some examples how this potential future world can look like. Are you seeing me full screen on the image? Right? Okay. So it's extremely, it's of course very extreme to see in the world of today that physically something so small as a virus is having such a huge impact on the world we live in today, right? Suddenly our public spaces are covered with regulations, we're surrounded by plastic barriers, and somehow, it's a sort of sum of rules. For me, when I look at it from my discipline, from the arts and design, this is in a way unconscious design, or maybe even bad design, since we never had the time to really think how we wanted our future world to look like. And I think that's one of the reasons why I founded the studio in Rotterdam, where there's a team of designers, engineers, project managers, thinking about how we want our future world to look like. I think that's really important. Because again, if we can't imagine it, we will never be able to create it. And so I'm the son of a math teacher. So science has always been part of who I am. And of the way I operate, a tool to create and a tool to make your ideas come true. And what we also do is, you know, make sure we're always surrounded by people who are smarter than me. That's a really important thing. So what you do when you want to create future, you put some smart people in a room with a pizza hotline on the door, right? And you say, nobody leaves the room until we have a solution. And then you get to work. And that sort of works, yeah. So we ask, maybe from a technical perspective, can you make the screen a bit smaller so it's full screen? Because my slide is sort of, you see only a piece of my slide. Tech crew, can you do your magic? All right, I'll continue. So we ask ourselves, for example, here, how can we make buildings which capture CO2? Or here, how can we feel the beauty of wind energy, right? So a lot of people think windmills are ugly. I disagree. But maybe that's because we haven't really experienced them, right? So what if we would make these sort of bubbles on the top of a windmill? There's a little elevator in it. So you would actually be able to go right to the top of it. I don't know if you've ever been to the top of a windmill. I have. It's amazing. And so maybe if you would have this sort of bubble, which is soundproof and vibration proof, you would feel more love to it and you would start to appreciate more the beauty of wind energy. Or here, this is really cool. This is a solar panel. This is a solar panel. You know, why, when we think about energy, we think of these concrete blocks on rooftops or abandoned fields. You know, why do I not still have a solar suit which charges my iPhone? Why can I still not buy a solar dress for my girlfriend to make her energy neutral or even energy harvesting? I think these are the questions we should ask ourselves. So what is also interesting is that this is not just creativity in terms of expression, as my colleague before me just mentioned, it's the future. So World Economic Forum, the top think tank, one of the top think tanks in the world, made an overview about all the important skills which are important to be future-proof. And you see a list of them here. So you see critical thinking, technology and design, but look at number 3, creativity, learning, thinking, all the things that a robot or a computer is actually quite bad at. So yeah, we will live in this hyper-technological world where accountancy, mobility, energy is and maybe already has changed. But does that mean that we become robot food? No, of course not. It just means the same when the camera, the photo camera was invented, it didn't mean the end of painting. No, it just changed it. But it does mean that we have to realize that creativity is our true capital because it separates us from the machine, and we have to focus on those human values to not become robot foods, basically. So I want to talk about certain themes: clean energy, clean water, clean air, clean space, right? These are our future values, and everything you design, a city, a car, fashion, a country, a world, should have those things in its DNA. I want to start with energy. That's one of my favorite topics. You know these glow-in-the-dark little stars that you had on the ceiling when you were a boy or a girl? Yeah? I think I've been staring at them way too long when I was a 5-year-old. That would explain a lot, to be honest. But I've always been fascinated by that, you know. It charges at daytime via the sun and glows at night. No battery, no solar panel, no energy bill. What can we learn from that? So 4 years ago, we went back to the lab with the experts and trying to make the most durable glow-in-the-dark phosphoric material in the world. Because the stuff that I've been looking at had poisonous radion and only works for 30 minutes, right? So as we were doing this material research, trying to make it more sustainable and more performative, we got a request from these guys, the famous Van Gogh Foundation, who wanted to celebrate the 125th anniversary of this famous Dutch painter. And they came to me and asked, can you make something that he somehow makes him feel more alive again, right? We don't want to hide him in a museum with a sign, please do not touch. Maybe it's the same, principle that Meet has, the new foundation, the new place you started, to activate, not just to conserve. And so they asked us this question, and I really like that question. So we started to sort of combine the two worlds. This is creativity, connecting and meeting the material research we were doing and the famous paintings of Van Gogh. And so basically we were doing this for 8 months. It looks simple, it's not, but this was the result that we made, a bicycle path in the area where Van Gogh literally lived and worked in 1883. After that, he went to France, made the famous Starry Night, but he walked and lived these grounds when he lived in the Netherlands. And so it's a permanent place. You can walk through, over in his Starry Night, charging at daytime, glowing at night up to 6 hours. And even till today, it's still the most publicized bicycle path in the world. Why is that, you can wonder? Just because it's beautiful? No, not necessarily. I think because what was interesting is that everybody started to give its own value to it, right? So for me, this is a place of poetry, and to connect history, the beautiful history of Van Gogh, with future of green energy, of sustainability. But the local entrepreneurs who have their hotel rooms there and their restaurants are really happy, because a lot of people go there now, but they only can see it at night, right? So they have to book a restaurant or a hotel room. So they're happy because you get local entrepreneurship. The Van Gogh Foundation was happy because it gave a new dimension of Van Gogh. Apparently it became a sort of hotspot for when you're on your first date, right? With boyfriend, girlfriend, you first go to cinema downtown, and then after that you take your walk here and do the things you do on a first date. Anyway, so different people started to have different meaning and different values to it. And maybe that's why it was so interesting. These projects are collaborations, right? Intense collaborations between industry and myself as an art studio, as a design studio. So you see here, the opposite of me, the CEO of Heijmans, one of the largest infrastructure companies in the world, right? And these guys are no nonsense. They think in kilometers. I think in millimeters, they think in kilometers, you know? They build highways, they build bridges, they like building, they like no nonsense, they like meetings starting at 7 a.m. in the morning, sometimes 6, you know? So it's a different world. I can remember vividly that when we were getting to know each other as we were doing the Van Gogh path together, I was saying that the curator of Tate Modern would come by to my studio the next week. And I was very excited about that, right? And they looked at me in a complete state of shock. I'm like, are you not happy, or are you jealous, or what's going on? And it took us a couple of hours to realize that the word curator, in my world, in sort of our world, it means a moderator, right? Somebody who makes an exhibition. But in the business world, it means the person who knocks on your door when your company goes bankrupt. So they were thinking, this guy, this artist is going bankrupt and he's actually enjoying it. You know, what kind of collaboration are we having? And I'm just telling you, we were both Dutch, you know, reasonably educated. And we had misunderstanding about one simple word. Can you imagine doing a complex research and development project of 2-3 million euros? But still you overcome these kind of challenges because you're different, but you're also the same. And what I mean by that is, I don't know how to build a highway, right? I don't want to know. I want to work with the experts who do. And they maybe don't know about design or about the future of. So always team up with people who can do something you cannot do, but you have the common love of creating something new. And that's when it becomes fun. So we started to make highways as well, which charge at daytime, glow at night, what you see here. Really beautiful to make highways more safe and more beautiful, glowing lines. And this is a project that's still growing and being created all around the world. Or here, I became really fascinated with this notion of energy. These are the famous floodgates at the Afsluitdijk. This is a famous dam built by hand in 1932 in the Netherlands. So this dam protects the Netherlands from, that we don't die, basically, right? So because we live below sea level, so for more than 1,000 years, we've been fighting with nature, we've been living with nature, we've been learning from nature. And these floodgates make sure that the water management, the water levels are being intact. Designed by Dirk Rosenburg, the great grandfather of Rem Koolhaas, a famous Dutch architect. And we were asked, as part of an 832 million euro renovation, to give it a new iconic value. So when you see the original drawings of these beautiful buildings, they look like temples, right? I mean, he did a great job. But when we saw them for the first time, they were a bit less lovingly, so to speak. They needed some love, some maintenance. The concrete was rotten. So we got the finance to make them look like temples again. But at the same time, we realized we want to do something about future, energy, sustainability. But we also realized that anything with technology, like cables or LEDs or wires or solar panels, would break down, would be destroyed because of the salt and the rain. And I mean, these are harsh wind environment, and it had to last for 80 years, minimal, with low maintenance. So then we were thinking, so, okay, like, how are we going to do this? And like, shit, and like suddenly all our previous toolkit was not being able to be realized there anymore. But then one evening on a cold, cold night, we were walking there with my head of design and realized that, of course, there's already light present on this famous highway, which is the light of the cars, right? There are already cars there. Hey, what if we can use the waste of the headlights of the car, inspired by the wing of the butterfly, right? Which doesn't use a toxic pigment. Like this, my sweater has toxic pigment. Your clothes most likely as well. Not the wing of a butterfly. On a microscopical level, it absorbs, reflects, manipulates light, and that's why the wing of a butterfly always remains vivid. I think that's still amazing. So what we started to do is drag our Minister of Infrastructure into the story. Here you see Melanie Schultz, the minister at that time, mimicking the headlights of the car. So we make zillions of these prototypes to have manufacturers and municipalities engaged. 3 years later, 324 people, 60 buildings. So daytime, they look like temples again. But the top layer is made of microprismas, of reflectors. So this is daytime and this is nighttime. No battery, no solar panel, no energy bill. The headlights of the car illuminate the buildings, highlighting the blueprint of the famous architect, the 1932 architecture. And so this is a place this is a good example of how something so practical, super practical, being pushed to an extreme becomes poetry, right? So it's a good example of an energy neutral lighting where we use the waste of the headlights, but also, and this was sort of an additional value we started to realize as we were designing it, when there's no car, there's no light. And that sounds a bit simple, but light pollution is a huge problem in big cities, especially here, since this is a nature area. So a lot of bird migration, highly protected, as it should be. So we actually proved that we brought light, but also brought darkness, right? We celebrated the darkness as when there's no car, there's no light, light pollution. I think that's really interesting to work with that. Clean water. I was talking about the Netherlands. We live below sea level. So on the left, you have the sea. On the right, you have Amsterdam, Rotterdam. For more than 1,000 years, we are below sea level. And my Chinese friends, when they see this dam that makes sure we survive, my Chinese friends say, you are crazy, these Dutch people. These Dutch people are crazy. Just move to Germany, right? Move to the hills. Who lives below sea level? But we do for more than 1,000 years. And we've been using technology. We've been using creative thinking to create our own home. And that's really important to realize, right? So smart city future, it sounds very sci-fi. No, some countries like the Netherlands have been doing it so long, and it's part of our culture. It's part of our identity. But sometimes even the Dutch forget. And that's why we were asked to create water awareness, what you see here. Waterlicht, a combination of LEDs and lenses, which shows how high the water level would be if we stop, right? If we don't have water management, if we don't have dikes or dams, if we accept climate change and the rising sea level. And we started to virtually flood public spaces all around the world. Here you see Amsterdam, 60,000 people in one night. We did Rotterdam, Toronto, Paris, New York. That was a complicated one, New York. And we're looking forward to have it secretly opening somewhere next year in Milan, but I haven't said that in public. And what it does is it makes, we talk about numbers degrees, 1.5, 2 centimeters. It's very abstract. People won't change because of numbers. They won't. I'm sorry, but they won't. So you have to make it, drag it into an experience, and you have to share it and feel it in a collective way. And some people were a bit scared, like, is this our future world? But others were more, inspired. Can we make floating cities? And yeah, wonder. These are large interactive environments. So things happen that you don't know. Daft Punk started to record his new video clip. We didn't know, So it's also interesting, new things happen in that way. And that's maybe the beauty of public art and public design. It creates a new connection, a new collective connection. Clean air. I've been working in Beijing for such a long time. There were good days and bad days, what you see here. And one day I got inspired by Beijing smog. It happened. And I'm not a minister of economy, so I cannot say 20 billion euro in green energy. Yeah, I can say it, but nothing will happen. So I thought, what can I do, right? As an artist, as a designer. And I remember when I was a boy and I was having these plastic balloons as children parties. If you would polish them with your hand, your hair would become static, right? Static electricity. What if we would use that principle to build the largest smog vacuum cleaner in the world, which sucks up polluted air, cleans it, and releases it? So this is the largest smog-free tower in the world, which creates clean air parks. We did this in Rotterdam, the size of a soccer stadium, clean air, 20 to 70% more clean than the rest of the city, running on solar panel. If the city has become a machine that is harming us, that is killing us, let's build machines that can help us, right? China started to call, how much? And we became part on their war on smog. One tower will, of course, never solve the whole problem. And of course, we need long-term investment in green energy and electric cars. But I'm not going to wait for permission. And I'm going to do whatever I can and what we can to step-by-step improve. This is Poland. You see the little dogs on the photo, right? They look really happy. Tens of these dogs were hanging around the tower. And it was this weird David Lynch movie I walked into, It was like this weird secret meeting I wasn't invited for. And I asked my project manager, what are these dogs doing here? And we found out. And apparently dogs have a very high sense of smell, right? They can smell way better than us human beings. So they were suffering from the smog way, way more. And so they would start to abandon their owner and hang out around the tower to enjoy clean air. And it's just a beautiful example of if nature can sense what is good for itself, why can humans not? But also we had the scientific report. We spent so much love, time and money and energy on it. And it was, being read and shared. But this photo, the fact that the dogs like it, made sure that we did 2 free new projects in 2 weeks. So always keep your eyes open when you do something new, because something like a surprise like this will help you to translate. And we keep on learning in that way. This is Beijing smog. This is the stuff that we were sucking up from the urban sky. This is in your lung right now. If you live next to a highway, 17 cigarettes per day, that's in your lungs, without the pleasure of the nicotine. I mean, when did we agree to that, right? Not really a smart city. And I believe we live in a world where waste should not exist. Waste for the one is food for the other. Like nature, it doesn't understand waste. 42% is carbon, 48% is carbon when we put it under a little microscope. And we realized carbon under high pressure, you get diamonds, right? So that's what we did. We made smog-free jewelry. I have one here. So by sharing of the compressed smog for 30 minutes, so by sharing a ring, you donate 1,000 cubic meter of clean air to the city where the tower is in. And this was very interesting because this became a Kickstarter campaign, a crowdfunding. The funding, the money we got with the jewelry helped us to build more smog-free towers. That's really interesting. So the waste was actually the activator, not the problem. But besides the money, because in a way, money is everywhere, was community. These photos were sent to us a couple of weeks later. We never imagined this would happen, right? Where wedding couples started to purchase it, where he proposes to her to get married. And this is like a real wedding couple, and New York Times validated, not actor. And clean air is for them the new beauty. They don't want a blood diamond from Africa. So we really like this. So we called them to check And she said yes, and not to me, but to him. And and sometimes we check on them, you know, they're still doing good, they're still married. Really beautiful. So science, technology is needed to improve our world, absolutely. But if it's disconnected from love, if it's disconnected from a story, if it's disconnected from a personal feeling, we won't get there. So finding the connection between those two worlds creates impact. Last one, clean space. This is my current obsession, so to speak, which I'm spending my time and love on. This is not an undiscovered Jackson Pollock or an abstract painting. This is space junk, 8.1 million kilo of space junk floating around our universe, right? So somehow we're not satisfied ruining our planet Earth. We keep on doing that outside our Earth atmosphere. And that started because of satellites, broken pieces of missiles, etc., to collide, creating this gigantic layer of junk. And it's a big problem because if a tiny, tiny particle hits an existing satellite, it's like a bomb, 17,000 kilometers or 1,700, depending on the speed, per hour. It's like poof. And in the future, it's a threat for the day-to-day communication. So no more Wi-Fi, no more 5G, no more Instagram. Yeah, so we got to fix it. So this is one of those pieces of space junk that I got from the ESA, the European Space Agency, when they were repairing the Hubble telescope. So this is an example of that 8.1 million kilo. And I became fascinated with that. So we launched Space Waste Lab with European Space Agency. And we're very happy that in 2025, finally, ESA announced a mission to actually devise this sort of electronic spider or mechanical spider to capture one of the first space junk pieces in the world. 2025, December, it's launched. So it grabs it, then controlled re-entry, and step by step they improve. But then I started to think, okay, that's great, but technology, super smart people, but what can we do with it? So we started to ask and did workshop with more than 2,000 students. If you had 8.1 million kilo of Lego blocks, what could you create, right? If it's not waste, maybe it's a potential. So on the front row, you see here the experts, ESA, NASA, industry, people who are way smarter than me. And on the stage, you have the amateurs, the kids. New ideas started to pop up. For example, here we need to build a wall from space waste and make the aliens pay for it, make space clean again. Okay, no comments. But more realistic ideas were, can we capture the space junk and then use it to 3D print habitats on the moon? NASA is already scheduling to do that. Why are we shipping expensive material from Earth? You know, why not just upcycle what is there? Or here, can we collect it and create a sort of solar reflector to reduce climate change and global warming? Or can we develop sort of garbage rovers, garbage trucks, which capture the space junk, burn it up, and transform it into a plasma fuel to recharge satellites, which ran out of battery, to give them a second life. But the most realistic, and the one that we're launching in 2025, is this. Okay, so if you have a controlled re-entry of space junk with the spider thing I just showed you, and it hits the Earth atmosphere, what happens then? It burns, right? And I saw those simulations, and then I realized, but when something burns, it becomes light, right? I'm like, aha, because that's my language, you know, like the space experts know way more about space than me, but I know a lot about light. That's my language. So what we're doing right now is transforming that into artificial shooting stars, capturing the space waste, controlling the re-entry, and creating artificial shooting stars from the captured space junk as an alternative for heavily traditional polluting fireworks, which is abandoned and prohibited more and more in cities. But also, we live in a world where to pollute is for free, right? So we need to add a new value to our waste. And I think that kind of combination between poetry and practical thinking is the way to move forward. Okay, to conclude, you might look at this story and say, okay, that sounds great, Mr. Rosegarden, and very hopeful, but it sounds, or it feels like a utopia, right? A perfect world we will never be able to reach. A rainbow in the sky we will never be able to touch. And maybe you're right. but maybe you're wrong. Either way, I don't really believe in utopia. I believe in a protopia, right? Prototype, step by step. We don't know how the future will look like, but we know that if we don't invest in new ideas, it's not going to be pretty. So thank you for your time. Let's go protopia, step by step, and try to improve together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Dan Rusegard for this inspiring speech. Grazie ancora. Io vi ricordo potete scrivere, intervenire, commentare, fare domande.
Don't forget you can ask questions and give your contribution to this new process, to this new vision, a mix, a blend between sciences, arts and technologies. So we have listened carefully to the words of Dan Rusegard, and well, this is positive. I mean, we have so many opportunities and possibilities represented by this approach. I mean, a future that may be better for everyone. Now, I work with a general audience that represents, in general, the ordinary lay people or population. Technologies promising a better future paradoxically are perceived as suspicious. Instead of triggering trust, sometimes they trigger confusion, worry and fear. Maybe because engineers haven't thought enough of the impact of these technologies on the human sensitivity. So, let's start the first panel today on the humanization of technology, so the spontaneous, natural interaction between men and machines. A researcher is going to be here on the floor. He's been working on art, science, technology. Lorenzo Gerbi, a curator of a lab. Lorenzo, buongiorno.
Question is, what is your work about? It's a long time you are been working on this matching between the stars.
Yeah. We are Balton Laboratories lab in Eindhoven, Netherlands, and we are working into cross-disciplinary experimentation between art, design, science, and technology, because we believe now we live in a time of disciplines in which all the disciplines are kind of divided and they are not talking to each other. And we see in this kind of bridging a very good, of course, value. Engineer and science has a very clear focus, like very narrow and very specialized, while art and design, they look more at the context. And so what if we can put these two visions together? That would be incredibly powerful for innovation. So that's what we are trying to do in a city like Eindhoven, in which you have high tech and design.
To fill the gap. And
to be that like platform in between, like Meet will be in Milan with the Regional Center of STARTS. So I think it could be very interesting to explore also Europe, but also with the other partners around the world.
So give us some example of this kind of match.
Yeah, you will see my presentation at the end of it. Cool. Okay. Thanks, Massimo.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So today I'm here to talk about humanizing technology, and I think already I don't know if we have the slides on. Can we have the slides? Yeah. Already in the word humanizing and technology, there is a paradox for me. So technology is the most human thing in the end. 75,000 years ago, the first stone tools were made by humans, and that was the defining. It's the next. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. Next. Okay, there are no images, but yes, okay. Yes, so you see in this picture there is first stone tools, and basically humans are divided by animals by the fact that they use tools to facilitate what they need to do, and also by the fact that we use language. This is also a form of technology. So this is what defines us as human at Homo sapiens, Homo erectus, and so on. Humanizing, on the other side, as also two very different definitions. So to make something more humane, or to give something a human character. And this can go together, but they can also be very opposite definition. And it's interesting to see how these two terms now are working together to express, especially in AI or in robotization of processes. They are kind of touching upon five points that I'm here listing. So pleasurable interaction, what it means then to create an interaction with technology that is not just functional, but to increase it with the cognitive ergonomies, but and also to better with the software aesthetic to make it look more friendly for human. Humanizing means to include more senses. We understand, we perceive the words through 5 senses. With technology, of course, the interaction is way different, but there are already ways in the last few years in which we explore way to have a conversation that it feels less technical. So with the conversational interface, chatbot, but also with the immersive visual environment like AR or VR, and biometric sensors. They are kind of measuring our quality of life and also our well-being. And of course, humanizing means also to make tech more trustworthy, that we trust the interaction more because we feel like we are interacting with a human. Humanizing technology can mean also to create human-like intelligence and behavior in machines and in robots or AI. That means not just rationalizing kind of rational intelligence, but also social and an emotional intelligence in a way that technology can better understand the human factors that are kind of undermining our way to interact with each other. And of course, humanizing, it can also concern the ethical point of view in a way that AI in the future won't be biased by the creator, but also in a way that machines and robots won't take over and won't lead to, in a way, use humans at their purpose as well. But there is a point in which the interaction with technology or with the AI or with the robot, it becomes kind of frightening. And it's, strangely enough, this was described in the 1818 in a novel called The Frankenstein or The Modern Prometheus, written by Mary Shelley. And in this picture, we see, in this illustration, we see the moment in which Dr. Frankenstein was looking at his creature for the first time when he was moving. And so you can see the expression on in his eyes. And this is the real part of the book that is depicted in the picture. I let you a few seconds to read it. So it says, but now that I had finished, so now that the creature is ready, the beauty of the dream vanished, and breathless terror and disgust filled my heart. So there is a moment in which machines, robots, AI, they look so human that it starts to be frightening. And this kind of concept, explored already in 1918, was then becoming a theory in... can you go to the next slide? It's becoming then a theory in 1970 called Uncanny Valley by robotic professor Masahiro Mori, in which is defining, putting in this graph 2 axes. One is the familiarity with an object, and one is the human likeness. So the more you go to the right, the more the human likeness increase, and the more you go to the top, and more the familiarity increase. So what happens is that when something becomes more and more human-like, so we start from industrial robot, then we go to humanoid robot, then stuffed animal, and at some point, the familiarity decreases vertically to the top, to the bottom of being like zombies. And that in that moment, that's the most uncanny feeling we can have interacting with a machine. And it's interesting that this concept is like 50 year old. And it's interesting to see how it's still a very, very, I think nowadays even more contemporary as a way to describe our interaction with the potentially new technology and robots. This brings also a connection with what we did at Baltan in 2018. There were 200 years that the novel was published, and we decided to touch upon it with a Frankenstein symposium, in which we explore what kind of inspirational topics there were already in that novel. And I can tell you like a few of them. So the relationship between the creator and the creator, as we see also today in AI, how AI is biased by the creator. That was already in Frankenstein. Or how our relationship with AI and robotic become dystopic. You know, you see a lot of shows like Black Mirror in which we depict a very dystopian reality. But if we think in the same way in the Frankenstein novel, what happens to the fact that the creature, the monster, wasn't a monster, was just a neutral creature that people's opinion about it turn it into a monster. So the same way, if we talk about AI and robots as something that are dystopian and something that are bad for humanity, since they are sensitive creature, they will become what we think of them. And that's a bit scary as well. So this is something that it's interesting to touch upon when realizing how human and technology are interacting. But also, there is another very interesting thing. So this kind of subtitle, the other title of Frankenstein, it's called The Modern Prometheus. So Prometheus in Greek mythology was a titan that stole the fire from God to give it to the humans and created the humans. As well, a man, when they create sentient and conscious creatures, they become like gods. So we become to have the role not of men, but of gods, because we create something that have feeling, that can listen, that can have a sensitive reply and response to our connection. So it's interesting to explore how we are becoming gods. So also Harari is calling it Homo Deus. So there are a lot of really interesting connection to see how ethically we can inform new creatures. We also did a journal, fictional journal, that was about this topic. So if you're interested in it, you can check it out at fictionaljournal.com. And but coming back, also Massimo already introduced it. So Baltan Laboratories, we are a platform in Eindhoven for experimentation across science, technology, art, and design. We believe that can we go to the next slide? We believe that the artist, in a way, you can see this also this quote on our neon in the space. The true method of knowledge is experiment. So this is one of the driving vision that we have, and also we believe that the artist is the fundamental researcher of the 21st century. What does it mean? That means that we are thinking that the approach the artist has towards innovation is really a playful one, and sometimes a bit amateuristic, but that's the powerful part of it, because he's able to kind of take from different discipline, put it together, create a new perspective that also experts they never came up to. So with this in mind, I want to explore also the theme of today, focusing on three case studies that we worked on in the past with companies, because that's the interesting part. At Baltan, we work with companies in a way that they are not just sponsoring us, but we do also artistic program inside of the company. And the first project is, again, it was nice to see Dan presenting the ring. Here is about other kind of rings, but it's still about wedding and marriage. This is a project that we worked on with the artist duo Lancel and Matt, and with the two companies, all center that is about wireless sensor, research about wireless sensor and flexible electronic, and Fortress, which is a software company. If we can play the video. Thank you. So this project was interesting because, of course, we will use EEG sensors to capture something that is not really medical or scientific in a way, but was a kiss. So this project, Lancel and Matt were working for a few years on, and we came up together with this concept of a wedding. And last year in Dutch Design Week, if we go to the slide, the video before, the one before. Yes, this one, you can play without audio. During Dutch Design Week 2019, we set up a sort of technological wedding chapel in which a lot of couples, it's the next video, by the way, in which a lot of couples were signing up every day. We had like 5 weddings a day in which we were exploring how also marriage can be different in a technological society. And what basically the ring means, so in this video you will see different couples getting married. The ring is basically showing, I think it's the video before. It's nice to see it in the action, also in real life. Okay, I don't know what's going on with the slide, but basically during Dutch Design Week, yes, this one, thank you. During Dutch Design Week, we had 5 couples a day getting married in this way by signing their wedding contract with a kiss. The shape of the brainwave was then captured into a 3D ring, and the contract was signed with this shape and was stored in a blockchain system in a way that the contract doesn't become legal in one country, but is like stored internationally in a decentralized system. And during the complete ceremony, basically at the end of it, they get their ring printed and they can go on with their ring. But in the 40 minutes of the printing part, we discuss together with them what kind of wedding contract we can have. It has to be temporary one, it has to be with more people, it has to celebrate a friendship or love, and also to experience how contracts are also very interesting cultural construct that we can work on and also have art reflecting on them. For the next, I'll tell you also another example. We just finished this project with TNO, it's a Dutch research company, organization for applied scientific research. And if we can play the video, it's about a touch experience in which in a smart garment were integrated 14 vibration motors that in a way explore how we can use our skin as an interface to feel information on our skin and what kind of messages we can talk about and we can change with each other just through vibration and to touch. And I think this is very relevant in a moment nowadays in which the intimacy, of course, is compromised by the social distancing, and how we can then interact with each other with giving a sensation of a real sensation on our skin. And it was interesting because that was supposed to be an experience during Dutch Design Week with all the people can sign up and try it. But basically it was about interpreting touch information in a way that people will feel like, for example, symbols on their skin, and they have to interpret with their body, okay, this is a square, this is a circle, this is a cross, or they have to interpret what kind of music associate with what kind of vibration patterns. And it's very interesting in a world in which we are basically a lot visual oriented, and we are using the other sense not so much, not in a very deep way. So to explore other way of doing that that can allow ourselves to interact with the world, not just by sight and by our eyes. And the last one is Isabot by Otto von Roder, and it's a project we developed with the accountancy company Young Connect. And basically, Otto is very keen on exploring how we can shift from a post-labor society. Being labor, the more repetitive work, the less interesting work. And he did a chatbot. If we go to the next slide, we did a chatbot that help you to basically target your financial investment On companies, they are working on the automation of your own job. So basically, you are paying for your own redundancy. And that's interesting to explore. I think in the afternoon, we'll do a workshop with this concept of post-laboratory. And I invite you also to join that if you can. But that's it for my part for now. And thanks for your attention. And I'm looking forward also to talk with the other two.
Thank you,
panelists.
Lorenzo. Just a question.
Yeah.
It's very fantastic. I be very surprised. My question is, how long do you think all these ideas will take to go mainstream? Because they are all beautiful, but there is a
But
uncanny valley.
Actually, with the wedding, we were really going to be mainstream. We were coming to already few couples wanted to adopt this as their wedding ceremony. And basically, this was our gift to the city of Eindhoven to have a new ritual that reflects a very high-tech oriented city. But that COVID happened in between, so the project went down for a bit also because ceremonies are not really something that we are too keen on doing that now because of the social distancing. But I think if concept, they are kind of speaking on a different level, they become a bit, it's also a very pop project, you know? It's not like scientific or artistic, very, very conceptual.
Okay.
But it's an access point. You have also to make people aware to assess this kind of projects in a very interesting way. And then you can have different layers. You can talk about the contract. You can talk about, in the end, it's just a ring. But it brings a very different dimension in. So I think it's very interesting to try to do that also with other projects.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Now it's time to introduce our next researchers to go deeper in this item. Can you tell us who they are?
So I asked to join me today two people. One is Hein Dunste. He is the founder and creative director of Stordust. It's a strategic organization design studio that basically is using art and design to shape the vision and strategy of multinational companies, banks, insurances. And it's interesting because it really sees organization as works of art because they are bigger than the sum of its part. They are really wonderful creatures that we can explore. And art and design can help also to shape the interaction. And I also invited Freddy Paul Grunert. Very difficult to tell what Freddy does. I will tell three things. He's associate curator at ZKM in Karlsruhe. He's an artist and also curator of the European Commission Sci-Art project at the Joint Research Center. And he was also a guru in 2015, a Meet the Media guru, so he's coming back also in that clothes. And I think it will be interesting to explore with them and to go a bit deeper on this humanizing technology.
Okay, let's start with Hein.
Yeah.
Welcome, Hein.
Welcome. Hi.
So, what is your vision? Tell us something about this organization that becomes art.
Yeah, maybe it's good. I'll have a brief. I'll have some brief slides on this subject, which I'd like to share with you. It will take, I think, 3 or 4 minutes, and I will go through them quite quickly. So I will. I'll share my slides with you. 1 second. Can you see it now?
No, not yet.
But maybe, Hein, you can already tell a bit about Stordust in the meanwhile, and then we figure out for the slide as well.
Yeah, 1 second. I have yes. I'll try. Yeah, Stordust is basically what we try to do as a consultancy company, which really works from what we want to do is work from the notion of art as power. Basically, to make it short, also in terms of technology, I think when talking about humanizing technology, it's really strange because in the end of the day, technology is something which is very human. It's not made by God, it's made by humans. We make it. So what is there to humanize, basically? And talking about technology and innovation, I like the word big data. And I think in the end of the day, it's not so much about big data as it is about big soul. And maybe I can go now see.
Yeah, now we see the slide. So
you can see the slide. Okay, then we'll continue with that. And but I have to. Okay, now I think this is, now you can see it in full screen?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So this is the thing, the big data is this question mark and big soul is the exclamation mark. And I think it's important that, for me, I really want to stay with the big soul. I mean, technology is the pivot, and I think we should change that a little bit. And I come back to that. But I really want to start with the big soul. And I think art and soul is something which we have been working with as human beings for a very long time. We make it and we enjoy it. And this is shown by this picture of the drawings in the cave of Lascaux. But art is also dealing with the very magnificent, the beautiful. This is a picture by Gerhard Richter, a mesmerizing picture. And it is full of love, and at the same time, it's distant. But art is also working with the deeply troubling, the other parts of our existence, the sides that makes us uncomfortable. This is a work by Berlinde de Bruikere. And she makes us feel the vulnerability of the human flesh and the human forms, deformation and the distortion of the body. And I think the art is truly about the condition humaine in its full richness, with all its inventiveness and ambiguity. And I think the wondrous thing is works of art make you wonder. And at the same time, they have very, very little practical use. And in that sense, it couldn't be more different than technology. So technology, and I think what we have come to like the comfort of technology. It's we at the moment it's a rationalization for a better world, and we find a deep comfort in that. Not only in terms of productivity, but also in terms of its claim for a better world. And technology is operating in a world that values technology in unprecedented ways. The value of the tech companies is enormously, and even that makes us feel more comfortable. But I think there's also something to lose. And this is a picture of, I don't know whether it's a picture of Paris, but it is a picture of the places where pictures were taken from in Paris, based upon the photo sharing app Flickr. So for me, this is an interesting picture. It gives us where the venues of interest in Paris are, but it doesn't say anything about the true value of Paris. And in technology, we are confronted with what the sociologist Max Weber at the beginning of the 20th century called the Entzauberung der Welt, the disenchantment of the world. And that's caused me the question, what to do? And I like to start this what to do with the story of the two mirrors. On the left-hand side, we have the mirror, which starts from the technological end. It's the perfect smooth mirror. It's a marvel of technology with unprecedented levels of precision. And it is used to produce chips. The other mirror starts from a completely different angle. The mirror was made by the British artist Anish Kapoor. It is a banded mirror which changes our views on reality. It plays with ambiguity and deformation. It's a marvel of technology, but in a completely different way. And I think technology will stay there and will evolve, but we have somehow to overcome the Entzauberung. And to do that, I think we should put technology aside as a defining entity and start with the soul. And basically, that's what we do as Tortoise. We take art, our art as power, as our work. In our design and consultancy work, we work on strategy and organization design. At the end of the day, the clients become more explicit in their meaning. And we develop some approaches to do it. One is what we call the occasion. And we use that, in that we use the arts to evoke a dialogue on things that matter. And this is a really nice example. This is an image by Giuseppe Pennone, and I think that's a very intriguing image. And it started a different way, and we use it to start a discussion on the vision for a tech consultancy company. It's about reversing the eyes. And basically what we said is that in the vision of people is not in the eyes, it's in their head. And how can we, and it's an individual thing, and how can we make sure that, and when we talk about the vision of a company, that we evoke that vision and that we also find ways to share it. And and that's quite complicated idea, and that's why we use this picture for. Another example is work we did for an insurance company. Insurance companies sit on large amounts of data, and they use very complex models to assess risk, and they employ even artificial intelligence to develop pricing models. However, an important value of the insurance company is when they deal with the incidents which people are where people are insured for, helping people to overcome the shock and help them to replace what is lost. So claim handling is very important. And for that, we developed a kind of practice to make it tangible. Every time a claim interaction with a client is successfully completed, the employee can hammer an indent in a copper plate. 1 million claims a year, 1 million physical indents. Showing all the plates with the indents creates an impressive, very tangible image of all the good work done. And I think this is much more telling than the digital data visual, but it's much more interesting than what digital data visualization could do. The last thing I'd like to talk with you is about the Art Lab. This is our initiative to really do basic research on how art can help in the domain of organizations. And in the Paris edition, we wanted to work on the social contract. Technology changes the way we interact, the way we organize ourselves. And I think to a certain extent, also the technology changes our social contracts. This is forcefully through its strange comfort. But it is intriguing to look, could we find other more soulful resource forces as autonomous counterweights to that technology. And that's why we started the Paris edition of the Art Lab. That was really, we are at the start to explore how power can initiate and secure novel forms of social contracts. Yes, and I think we really can embrace technology, but I think we still always have to start with the soul, and the soul. And I thank you for this. This is my small introduction. Thank you.
Thank you, Hein. Lorenzo, what's the next guest we have? Is it connected? Is already connected?
Freddy, I saw him. Yeah, I think Freddy will talk about connection with care and technology, and now it's not about solving the relationship between human and technology, but care can help to solve the relationship between humans and humans, who is becoming much more polarized today.
And Freddy, you work between Italy and Germany, isn't it?
Yes,
okay.
I work between, I think I try to work between the world, yes.
Okay, so
nationally based.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, so today it's strong to say happy to meet you. And Dan told us that curator in economy means the one who knocks on our door when we get bankrupt. Live we now the threat of ethical bankruptcy and the fear who will knock on our door? So for me, there's no hiatus between human and technologies, only an insane war on the human. Creative industries should focus on quantistic cure, suturing age-long wounds. Who and what will run the world next? Who will have the impulse to cure, rendering visible the human and other than human being in the world entangled agency in transition to post-humanist security? After that Emperor Constantine's new Anthropocene world order lost the emergence of the buffered self exceptionalized in the Christian sect. After gold, will blockchaining, life analysis, mint the pattern that will rule the world? The knowledge and practices of cure is the balance needle for future governance power, and is the opportunity for complex technologies to be the sine qua non cover condition for the potential universal minority that plagiarized in century-long repression will be endorsed by the few world rulers to handle deputized but with the free rein to the absolute worst right, the political representation, the leading earth-spread executives. When Constantine, wink of tolerance, lulled the oppressed Christian sect among other competitors in hiding under death threat, to administrate the declining Roman Empire, his arc represents exactly how to preserve soli invictus power for a few, and the primus inter pares, first among equals, for the masses. The twisted trans-architectural arc of Constantine is the first media is the message installation, with its monitor-like friezes wrongly seen in centuries as an example of decadence, solely because it anticipated to vision beyond Moses' decision and the celebratory posthumanism. The Christians' gold, hot money accumulated in the centuries of persecution become the current means of payment in the Roman Empire and makes them rise in penetration and to power. The winning message of cure was revival, ointment, and charity, but to face the three bundled crises, the economical, the climate change, and the public health emergency, and the increasing intermingling of humans and intelligent technology, and the dissipation of differences between humans and other species, cry for a new digital or informational ontology. In the residual Western hemispheres of the empire, the security turn starts with the installation of the ARPANET by the militaries in the 60s, the abrogation of the Bretton Woods Agreement Act about the dollar's convertibility into gold in 71. And to make a personal example, from 10 years ago, when I saw in Chicago's Millennium Park in the Loop community area, the ground fountain displaying videos with on the top Obama winking, and the other videos transmitting images from discriminated underdogs and disadvantaged. We can imagine several groups who could be the heirs of the Christians, the candidates victims of harassment for the ultimate challenge. But what's about their ability to heal, their consciousness of cure for their own and the other injuries? To make an example, let us think about the billions of computational ghost workers that shape our future, trusting governance of distributed ledger technologies, blockchain, cryptocurrencies, and digital assets, but are suffering the informal orphanization of the always-on condition in training artificial intelligence around surveillance, healthcare, mobility, without any gratification about the social function. No alleged community of fate should be pushed to determine our future. But if the invisible hands are too strong, we should take the Kuros governance serious. Like the activists of Black Lives Matter, where the process of healing in the community is the base of their political feeling. Or the ethics of care, perhaps the most significant ethical theory to emerge from feminist analysis. If we want to stop the war on human, the creatives of cure should twist the line, accept the challenge of ruling, and activate the quantistic cure of shamanic, holobiont, longue durée wisdom, practice, and non-violence to embody the redelineation of second nature's assemblage of intelligences to an instantiation of creative technologies. But maybe planning to create a new European Bauhaus, we should take more awareness and more care of our African heritage too. Thank you.
Thank you, Freddy. I want to greet the lady next to you. Can you introduce her?
Ciao, Cristina.
Yeah, Fatimena, we work always for hands. So the image you have seen following each one of my speech is she's doing it always. When I'm writing, she looks what I'm writing and puts some in.
Hi, Cristina. Lorenzo, thank you very much for your help.
Yeah,
and
no problem.
stay here because, as I told you before, people from home can ask questions about this panel
Nice.
or can comment, can do whatever they want. And
Right.
please, if there are some messages, please send them on our screen now for the moment, but please do it. And thank you, stay here,
Okay.
and we will meet later.
Yeah.
Ok,
Cool.
let's
Thank
go
you.
on, let's go, andiamo avanti con il terzo panel, con la questione.
Okay, let's go on with the third panel. We will be talking about sustainability. The slogan now is "Don't waste." If we check some revolutions, I mean, from the printing age to these days, we reduce resources. Today, we are facing a new threshold. I mean, this reduction of waste coincides or corresponds with the need to protect the country and the world against destruction. So, this is our third panel's subject matter, greenization. And before doing this, I'm told that we got questions. Okay, Lorenzo, stay ready. Are we having the Q&A now? Well, we can read them now, then we will see what to do.
Board, strategic or operational. Che facciamo? Ah, va bene, fanno parte della. Chiamiamo adesso allora.
Okay, so this is included into the second panel having to do with sustainability. Okay, sorry. Let's, okay, there's been a little change in our program. So let me go back to the previous point. Okay, so second panel, sure, before going on to the third one. So the innovator, Andrea Pontremoli, I talked about before, said that innovating means I am the only one being able to do this. So how can we innovate today? Because, you know, today the large, biggest digital companies are able to freeze this innovation process. And quite often, citizens don't want to leave their comfort zone. Okay, sorry for this little misunderstanding. So let me go back to the coordinator of the second panel. He will tell us how artists and creative specialists can really change the world we live in.
Because when you start saying you will talk about sustainability and so on, I thought maybe I will be called to tell about sustainability because it's also my passion.
Okay. Let's say that all the fields are connected.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
So first of all, let's introduce your guests, the people that you invited to talk about.
Absolutely.
One is in presence.
Laurent Bazin is a French artist. I will tell you a bit more about him afterwards. And I don't know whether we have already Anouk Wieprecht from...
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, great. Where can I see you? Because I can't see you actually. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Anouk, for being here. Thank you, Massimo, for the introduction. I think it was much more lively like that. Thank you, Meet, Rosanna, Maria Grazia, for inviting us today. Actually, it was a bit of a problem for me to be here and to discuss about things that I'm not very familiar with because artists, creativity, and so on and so forth. So somewhat I had to take my role. I teach innovation in a business school. So basically we look only at profit and possibly short-term profit. And all these things, very, very exciting that we have seen today are somewhat strange to us. Not every student will be into that. And also my language, the slides that I will use, somewhat are the expression of a different mindset. Okay, but at the same time, I realized that the good thing in the task that I've been given was this how creatives can boost product and process innovation in industries. Because you have seen a lot so far about the final result, how beautiful it is, and how fantastic it can be if we were able to implement all that. But how actually artists can do that? And if I can say, maybe just to recall something that has been already presented, and maybe connections are also one of the objectives of a day like that, is what Dan Rosegard has told us, fantastic things in which I could see what also Lorenzo, when Lorenzo Gerbi showed Frankenstein, I was impressed. And then I thought, okay, I always put my attention on Frankenstein, the monster. But what about the guys at the Dr. Frankenstein that created? It was a creative person, for sure. It was an artist. So maybe artists have a responsibility there. And we don't really see what is the responsibility, or we haven't seen really the responsibility of the artist and what they can bring, especially now. Now, just to, because otherwise it becomes a bit too long. I was thinking, since I was being given this task to try to understand, okay, but artists and industry, where they met first, and there are countless examples in the history. But one of them came to my mind several times. It was the art and crafts movement of William Morris in the late 19th century. And these guys, they were collaborating with the industry. They have fantastic furniture, wallpaper, a lot of things that you surely know. But these guys had also an idea in mind. There was an idea of somewhat criticizing the industrial paradigm of the time. So they were not only boosting innovation in the sense, okay, this is, thank you for showing that. I will come to this in a moment. Not only showing these beautiful artifacts, but also telling, you know what, the industrial society will not be beneficial as many people want us to believe. So somewhat the artist had the goal of shaking the beliefs. And maybe this brings me to this example, and even older example, of what is creativity. It is, there is a citation from maybe the most famous scholar on creativity, that is Arthur Koestler. He wrote a book that is called The Act of Creation, in which he says, what is creativity and when creativity happens? It happens when there are two different knowledges worlds that somewhat even clash together and come with a fertile synthesis. And as an example, I put the scribes, a manuscript that was written by scribes, and then what made this change completely the way in which it was say, published, it was the wine. This is a wine press. So they were applying, at a certain point, Gutenberg put together the wine press that they've been, even in Germany, they were doing wine, good wine, with the idea of reproducing the manuscripts, and we have the press that has absolutely revolutionized the world, and I think we can see the effect also today. Now, maybe you can go to the next slide, please. Okay, So I, of course, I teach in a university. I needed to look at the literature review, and there is not so much. So I think that in the next years, maybe we should write a little bit more about that. And what I realized, this is a paper from 2014, so it's quite recent, is that this is a study about Italian industries. We are in Milan, I think it's relevant. And say, you know what? Most of the relations between artists and industries are somewhat informal. It's the entrepreneur, you mentioned Andrea Prontremoli earlier on, is maybe the top managers that somewhat see value in that, but there is very little that is structured. And again, thinking about history, okay, we are back to the Pope, we are back to the family, the Medici family that somewhat are visionary enough and have resources enough to give space to these artists. Now, we want to see what it is today and what can be today. So the artists that today will talk with us will, and hopefully they will answer. I planned 3 rounds of questions, so let's see whether we have the time to do so. And they will help us to understand how to make it work. So for this reason, I will start with Anouk, that has been patiently listening to us, and then I will introduce Laurent. But Anouk is, can you go to the next one, please? So people can read, but the next slide, please.
He's the fashion stylist of the tech wardrobe that I mentioned before.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Anouk is Dutch, but she works a lot in the US because she works with high tech. And she made some really iconic objects in fashion, but not only in fashion, more generally in design. And I'm very glad to give her the floor because she has really the way to show us what the future can be. Thank you, Anouk. The floor is yours.
Hi, Anouk.
Hey there. Hello. I am going to show you a few examples. So yeah, thank you so much for the introduction. I am an artist that is very fortunate to work with a broad amount of clients, from Intel to Microsoft to Google to Autodesk. There's a broad variety of clients that I work with, and I'm going to show you some of my work and also the collaborations that I did with them. So my work is based on sensing the spaces around the body. So we have the intimate, the personal, the social, and the public space. And I'm also sensing the body itself. And I'm going to tell you also something about that. But these spaces are important for me. For me, fashion is an interface, something that we express ourselves with. But what if those designs become interactive, if they are based on technology, for example, what happens then? So in this case of using these spaces around the body, I create designs. And this is a design that I create with a semiconductor company, Intel, in Portland, in America. And they had a new piece of technology, the Intel Edison, and they asked me to create some designs based on that. So this is my robotic spider dress. It works on ultrasonic rangefinders. And when you step in the personal space, it attacks. And it doesn't just attack in one way, it attacks in several ways, depending on how you interact with this dress. It reacts maybe more aggressive than the other time. So what I do is I create a lot of things with wearable electronics and also robotics on the body. And that is a little bit what my research is about, often 3D printed. And I use a lot of that. This is another product. It is the smoke dress for the company Volkswagen, the car automotive company. It is based on another animal. It's based on the octopus. It pushes out ink and then it can escape. So this dress is based with sensors. And the more people are in the direct surroundings of this dress, the more smoke it evades, So it's almost a little bit a more, very sculptural, very architectural, and also more, sensoric design than the spider dress is very almost aggressive. This is a very kind of organic design. So Volkswagen let me work with their new collection of cars in that time, in 2012. And they asked me to create a collection of 8 pieces based on their car, which we showed at a sort of a show multiple times a day. And also the cocktail dress, which I created for Cirque du Soleil. Cirque du Soleil has is a theater. Of course, we know it from sort of the circus. They also have a restaurant in Ibiza, and they asked me to create some food experiences. So yeah, I work a lot with designs, and my question is always, if and when we put technology on the body, what does it do? How can it become social and playful? How can it become defensive and behavioral? How can it become expressive and sensitive? What does it do, you know? And really seeing fashion as this interface that we can interface with the world around us. Another brand collaboration of mine that I did was with the car company Audi. I created cars based on their, dresses based on their cars. And also I'm working together with Victoria Modesta, who has a below the knee amputee. So I create prosthetics legs with and for her, for different companies and different shows. So the last part is body signals. So I'm also doing research into the body and connecting that back to my design. So you can think of brain signals, you can think of muscle contraction, respiration, lung volume, heart rate, heart volume. And so, yeah, there's multiple ways that you can sense the body. So one of the projects based on EEG I did for Ars Electronica Future Lab in 2016, which is Ancient Unicorn. And instead of creating a dress, I want to create a device, and a device that does something. You know, I was working with children with ADHD, and instead of giving children medication, I wanted to see if I could develop a sort of a brain-computer interface in order to have a little camera implemented, and it's doing readings of their focus state through the P3 wave. And it's basically to show them that anything and everything has an effect on them. Sort of, you know, we go through them, their data with them. So this prototype become a product with the company GTech, which is now available online. So here you can see that an ID then with Ars Electronica became sort of almost a device. The device is a medical, device, which allows for you to create like medical recordings other than a more commercial device. And we also do hackathons with this device, and sort of, so that project became unexpectedly a product and a hackathon for makers and creators. And also the last project that I did is based on brain signals. It is the pangolin dress with Johannes Kepler University and GTech, also for Ars Electronica, in where we record the brain with 1024 channels, and you can see this online. I'm not going to talk about that now, but it's a dress that does the data visualization based on the BCI brain-computer interface, which has 1024 channels. So you can, look that up online and find more of that. So this is just a small introduction. So it is more often like, working with either a piece of technology from the client versus a product from the client, or creating something with the client, you know, or the company, or whoever is coming to me. And then creating a product based on the body and based on technology.
Thanks. Thanks a lot, Anouk. I think the second round will be about the relation and the kind of collaboration that you have with your clients. But now is the time of Laurent Bazin. He's French. He studied literature, philosophy. Then he studied movie direction. And then he went to digital artist and to 3D in particular. What I really like about the work of Laurent is that he works with 3D, that is very artificial in the mind of many people. But he tries to put as much as possible truth and objectivity in his work. So I think it's very interesting to see how he does it.
Yeah.
So Laurent, please.
Yeah, originally I'm a stage director, and but I work with immersive theater. And one day, a cinema company came to me and said, "Okay, there is something. It's VR, and we think there is something to do with this medium, and we think we can." Everybody use this medium to make something spectacular, but we can do something intimate. And they said, okay, we think you can help us to find a way to tell a story with intimate dimension. Okay, and oh no, wait, just before the picture before slide. Okay, here is the when you hear about VR, you think, okay, you will have a strong feeling of presence. You will feel as if you were inside this world. It will be very immersive. But every time I tried VR, I thought it was a little disappointing because people are very far from you. It's for technical reason, essentially, because you can't come too close to the camera, not less than 1 meter 40 centimeters. So I think it's a real problem. You know, Anouk spoke about spatial dimension. During this period of coronavirus, we feel very precisely the difference between the distance between all of us. We feel when it's too close or too far. We have a how do you say that? A sharp consciousness of the distance between everybody. But the problem is VR cameras can't respect this dimension because you have to be very far from the camera. So they say, okay, it will be we will give you an immersive experience, but you can't go too close. So I keep from the first end I have the feeling of immersion, but the second end I lose the sense of proximity. So I had to break. It's my start project. This obstacle. I hope it's clear. Next slide, please. Okay. They wanted, the people I work with, Gengis Khan, they wanted this. Okay, the possibility to have a strong close-up and to see things far away. Again, the next one, sorry. Okay, or this kind of sensation you see in Terence Malik. Okay, the next one. So here is the original solution, and this thing, it's the stop it. No, just before, please. Okay. This object seems to be only technology, but it's not. It's technology. It's mythology. I mean. The company Gengis Khan told me, okay, you should work on stereoscopy and 360 degrees tool. And I say, okay, let's try. And we spent times, month and month with this tool, but the problem we had, how could I say that? As I told to Michele, as I told to Michele, when you are an artist and you work with engineer, you are a little impressed because you say, okay, they are in the side of objectivity. They know what they do. I am the side of subjectivity. I'm the crazy artist and they are the realistic people. Okay. But I didn't understand that they had their own mythology. For example, a good camera in VR must follow the line of a story, beginning from photography, black and white, and then color, and then you improve it, moving images, and then you improve it again with 3D, and then you improve it again, and you have 3D and 360 degrees stereoscopy. So if you are an engineer for VR, you have to do stereoscopy. But if you are an artist, you must have many pixels. The more color possible, the more pixel possible. But as an artist, it's not really necessary. For example, it's not because you have 3D that you have the most powerful feeling of presence. And that's what I try to tell them. If you want to feel people, maybe we could not only use this monster because it takes a very long time, lots of information, many gigaoctets. It's impossible to work with it for an artist. Maybe for an engineer, it's very good because you got the best quality image, the best 3D dimension. but for artists, it's as if you had a very complicated instrument you will never be able to use. I hope it's clear. So my work was to simplify, to change the mythology, to say, okay, let's forget this injunction you have, the social pressure of industry, and let's combine other technology. We have to stop focusing of the shooting part, but we have to think again the whole production chain. So, okay, go to the next step. We forget stereoscopy and all this thing. It's beautiful, but for only have 10 seconds of this marvelous camera, it spends 3 months. 3 months, and for an artist, for a movie director, it's too long because you have to be it must be easy, it must be fluid. If you have to wait, you can't take any risk. You understand? So next one. And again, the next, yes. I show you this because it's the dead end, and it's the most important part of the process in my start residency. We spent 6 months with the bad solution. You understand? And then after we decided to combine. Next slide, please. Again. Okay, here is the simple result. It's very simple. You got only 2 cameras, but very powerful, Sony Venice. And you can have that, something is that you, sorry, I have to be a little technical, but for when you direct people on stage, you have to see what you are filming. With the other camera, you can never see it because they always say, no, we must have more information. So it's not possible. So I say, I don't care. I don't want the best quality. I want something efficient. So I ask them 2 cameras and the feedback in live. So I could see in my helmet the thing I was filming. So my duty, my role in this industry was to tell them to change maybe their priority. If they can have the most powerful camera in the world, if people can't use it because it's too heavy, it will never be an innovation because it will never be adopted. And my work was not to give them technical solution, but to tell them, okay, I'm an artist, I'm not a technician. If you ask me to be an engineer, to work with it, I will never. And all my friends, talented guys or people will never use it. So make it simple. And that's the result. So the next one. Yeah, it's the...
Laurent. Yes, Laurent, as we don't have so much time, may I ask you maybe what was the second question? And because you show how you have been able to innovate a process,
yes,
because of your artistic sensibility. But I would like you now to help us understand how a good collaboration with industry can work. What are the main elements that, in this case, but more generally, are necessary in order to have a collaboration between the artist and the industry work in an effective way? Can you list maybe 3-4 factors, and then there will be maybe this short question also for Anouk, and then I will give the floor to Massimo.
Okay,
again.
so I will go very quickly. I think the best thing is not to wait any result. It's for playing, you know. It's maybe even for fun. You take these people, artists and industrial, and you put them for 1 or 2 days of free, and they have fun only for recreation. You understand? And maybe something will happen, but you must think that the reward is searching. and I think it's the first thing. The second thing is maybe to share your values to the other, your values and your process, because if you, the more pedagogical you will be with the other, the more it will be able to, you will be to, it will be possible to be inspired by the other and to think about it. And the last thing, I think maybe it's very important, it's to let some place to the accident. Okay, and collect the accident, not forget it, but collect, to have a process to keep, okay, it was not the idea, but maybe it's something very interesting, because often it's the most interesting is in this moment, you understand what I mean.
Thank you, Laurent. I think you are talking about serendipity and how important it is
yes.
to allow space for serendipity. The same question to Anouk. You worked with big companies. How important are constraints given by the companies, or how important is the freedom that Laurent mentioned at the beginning?
Yeah, I think for me it is, it's nice to know possibilities and know constraints. And I think the constraints are the ones that, yeah, you're fighting with, that you're working with. And I think they are very interesting for me, you know. Working without constraints also gives the possibility to be like very artistic and all of that stuff, possibly. So that's kind of great. But I think, yeah, working with constraints, for me, it's nice because really sort of, in my case, my engineering mind comes out, you know, and my question is then like how to solve this, you know, how to solve this little riddle, whether that is a new piece of technology or something that yeah, needs to be placed into a more fashion setting, or whatever that question can be. I think constraints can be very inspiring. Constraints can be, from an artistic notion, also a sort of a little bit a roadblock in the way. So it's always how you approach it, you know. And I think when you approach it with curiosity, I think that's an important thing that artists often have, you know. They find creative ways, and because of curiosity, they find ways that other people might not have thought of.
So also the artists have to exit from the comfort zone, not only the industrialists.
Mm-hmm.
Michele.
Thank you, Anouk, and thank you also, Massimo.
I think don't go away, because I think there are some questions. I can call on stage also Lorenzo if someone want to ask questions to him. Could you set the screen on the questions, please, so I can turn them to the panelists? Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Maria Grazia, for hosting this beautiful symposium today. Okay, thank you. How can a corporation solve a contamination process? Who are the right people they should involve? Lorenzo, quick answer.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting question. The problem with working with companies is that sometimes companies, they want really a deliverable, an outcome at the end of the process. So we are doing this process, and by the end of the year, we want to have this outcome. In art and design, the value is created more in the process. So it's more to set a sort of direction and now go there together in a trip with the company. So I think, yeah, you need some sort of facilitation between the artist and the company to allow the company to take the risk to invest in a trajectory like that, and reassuring that something will come out in the end. And but also maybe the artists can do it themselves. But yeah, it's an interesting question.
Michele, next question is for you. How to boost and maintain a fair level of abstraction? You work with companies like big Novartis, so you can answer this question.
Yeah, but I think that this question brings us to another question. Why and for what for you invite the artist? What do you expect from the artist? Because the abstraction means, I think the person that asked this question understands very well that you can't ask the artist to make a new product. So somewhat the artist stays at the level of inspiration. Now, what I want to say is that the inspiration can work in two ways. Inspiration is what the customers may want, but inspiration can be also what the customer may not want. So the artist may put also light on things, okay, you don't go in this direction because this is uncomfortable for the customer. And somewhat, I think that the abstraction that is there is abstraction in the sense that, again, the artist cannot enter into the details of the product, but should not be too abstracted in terms of the use and the value, and maybe the soul, like one of the person, the speaker before said.
There was a question for Anouk. Can you show me on the screen, please? I ask the collaborator. Okay, Mr. Whippret, do you use 3D printers to create your dresses and accessories? Is it eco-friendly as well? Anouk.
Yes, I use 3D printers. I use stereolithography. I use selective laser sintering, also as 3D printing process, often in nylons and plastics. The selective laser sintering is often recyclable. So it's a 3D printing method that uses powder, and the powder you can catch and you can reuse in some cases. And I also work with filaments created from like wood and recycled products, and also recycled bamboo, for example. So there are ways that you can think of 3D printing. Often it does have plastic involved, but I'm always curious what different ways are that we can solve that, basically.
Marco asks, how do artists begin using technology and collaborating with industries, and how does it happen? Laurent?
When you got the occasion. It's, as Michele said, it's when you... sometimes people come to you. You understand what? I hope I understood the question, but it's accident. Someone say, "Oh, hey, you know, I work with in this factory and I make this thing. Do you think there is something possible?" And you say, "Oh, I hear, and I think it's funny. Why not? Let's try something."
Michele, is there a way we can train us in mixing creativity and beauty with science and technology? Michele and then Lorenzo.
Yeah, there are even recent studies that says that show how to do it. Apparently, it works better when the technologist loves creativity. Maybe themselves, they go to museums, they follow art. So somewhat is a self-education. You have to be self-taught on certain level. But at the same time, even ourselves, as I said, I teach in a business school, we are more and more introducing design courses for our students because we understand that it is very important. So even in the curriculum in higher education is going towards this direction. So it will come.
Lorenzo, when you want to add something?
I think in this question we are kind of assuming that creativity is not in science and technology, and I think there is a lot of creativity there. And I think it's just recognizing that it's different kind of creativity. And when artists and, for example, scientists meet, in the end there is kind of this breaking the ice moment in which they have to understand they are creative in a different way. So it's not we have to learn from each other. We already are that, but in a different way. So if you are assuming that, I think that could be easier to train us for doing that.
A question from the market, employment for Anouk. Values and creativity will be most valuable skills for next recruitment trends. Anouk, you are in the States. What is the situation there?
I think, especially from like maybe a research angle, I think there's just a lot of, things. You need to think of, artists have their own research going on, you know, and where does that connect to your research, you know, and how can you collaborate on that? So I think, sort of more collaborative notions on that, I think, is definitely something that is being pushed here a lot. How can, companies and people work with artists on a sort of collaborative level that is, both for their own research as the research for the company, for example, acceptable and interesting.
How to make industries aware of the importance of the contamination processes. We have connected also the other panelists from the former session. I may ask Hein, for instance, if you are able to intervene. Hein? Or Freddy? Yes. Who is connected? Hein?
Yeah, what was the question exactly?
How to make industries aware of the importance of contamination processes?
Yeah, I think that's a difficult question. In our experience, we worked with a very large insurance company. We basically, to enhance the vision, we made what we called. I showed you one of the objects, but for another occasion, we made other objects. And I think it's important that we call middle objects we use them as icons, which are really works of art. And we put them in the organization, and by people reacting to it, thought about it, that started a kind of, contamination in their thoughts of what they wanted to achieve. And I think the powerful thing, we are dealing with, the very abstract things like your vision, strategy, that kind of things, the intangible things in the organization. And I think we normally use like words, PowerPoint presentations. We have a narrative which has a strong beginning and a defined end. And what we're trying to do is more evoke thoughts, evoke emotions, and not only through the rational things, but also the other part of the brain, which is more of kind of intuitive. And I think by people, that's basically my answer.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Michele, Lorenzo, Laurent, Anouk, all the other panelists. Thank you, and we can move to the third panel. Avevo già cominciato a presentarlo prima.
Okay, sorry, I had already introduced it before. So this is the panel number 3, having to do with sustainability. So the question we raise in this panel is the following. Now, the word is self-explanatory. Focus is the greenization, science, technology, art, and the Green Deal. So we have to promote synergies in order to foster sustainability and green projects in our industries. Christophe de Jager is the moderator of this panel. Christophe, how are you doing? Okay, sorry, we can't hear Christophe. Maybe the mic is still muted. Yes, Christophe is back.
Based in Brussels. It's a platform of art, tech, and science that have a lot of success cases in this field. Christophe, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Massimo. Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry for not being there. But I would like to introduce the topic of our greenization panel and also our speakers. This is the artist Koen van Mechelen, speculative designer Farah Pelosi, and the clean tech entrepreneur Stéphane Grosjean. Now, Koen is the founder of La Bionista. He calls it a garden of order and chaos in Belgium. Farah Pelosi is an artist and speculative designer who worked together with the biotech company Soleiga to create algae-based energy panels. And Stéphane is an entrepreneur who founded a company, SMAPI, that develops tools for clean tech and clean energy. So today we brought Koen, Farah, and Stéphane together to reflect upon the challenges of our time, the most important one, climate change. Yesterday evening, I saw the wonderful but disturbing documentary, A Life on Our Planet, that links the personal life of David Attenborough to the big evolutions of our planet. In 1937, when Attenborough was young and started to explore the world, there were 2.8 billion people, 280 parts per million particles carbon in the atmosphere, and 66% of the wild forest remained. Today, he ends his documentary with 7.3 billion people, 411 particles, and less than 30% remaining forest. This is just devastating. But Attenborough ends with the statement that humans should not be apart from nature, but apart from nature, and offer some hopeful solutions. And I think we all know that it's clear that after this period, we need a systemic change in our society, an alternative for the industrial modernity that has seen the world as a resource, nature as something external, and technology as the prime mover. And of course, there are dueling visions to reshape our world. or to repair our present, not only the future. And two different schools of thought have been evolving in the 20th century. One with a greater focus on staying within the limits of our planet, and another with a focus on technology. It's the so-called sufficiency-efficiency debate. So we could think that the positions of the arts world and the industry are strongly divided. We could see artists as sufficientialists and industrialists as efficientialists. Artists as accentuating the danger of new technologies such as engineering, bioengineering, or artificial intelligence, and accentuating behavioral changes of large communities. And then we have the industrialists, often regarded as positivists, efficiency and profit-driven, looking at technology as a sole driver for innovation and solutions. But I experienced it already a lot. This black and white situation is far from reality. And we understand from the presentations that the engineers, artists, and speculative designers have much more in common than we think. Entrepreneurial, critical, human, and creative skills belong to the artists as well as the designers, as the entrepreneurs. And I hope that this will become clear to the three following mini presentations that Koen, Farah, and Stefan will give. They will last 10 minutes each, and you will see that the European Bauhaus ID or the STARTS ID that has been launched by Ralph Dum today is closer than we think. I hope you will enjoy the three lectures, and I think we can invite Koen as the first speaker on the floor.
Koen, welcome here. Koen van de Michelen, welcome.
Hi,
Hi.
Can you?
Okay, you are the man of the chicken that I introduced at the very beginning of this morning. So
Yes.
tell us how you can transform a chicken in a metaphor of better humanity.
Okay, I will try to give. It's going to be very quick. I hope that everybody can understand me. I try to share my presentation now. Here, dit. Okay. Can you see the presentation?
Yes?
Oh, okay. Okay, then I start. I have to tell you a little bit the history, and then we come to my new space, which is La Biomista, the mix of life. So I start the presentation always by saying that this is not a chicken. If you look at it as a passport, it's talking about an individual, but it's a crossbreeding between Belgium and France, presented in an art space, by the way, in the Listen Gallery in London. So the history of the chicken, there is only one chicken in the world that lives at the feet of the Himalaya, and by human interest, it's spread all over the world. Here you see that on this page that there's a variety of chickens in every country. They made the chicken not only for consumption, but also for aesthetical reasons. I make myself more clear by showing this one. This is the French chicken. It's red in the head, white in the body, and it's blue legs. So it's the French flag. So it became a symbol. And so there comes my question. Are we allowed to do that with a living object as being a chicken? I'm not quite sure, because what we actually do is to promote a monoculture, because you have to promote inbreeding. And when you promote inbreeding, there is less fertility, immunity, or diversity. So that was a big question in 1999 for myself. And so I was thinking, why don't we break the frame that we put around the genetics of these chickens? And why don't we start to crossbreed them all over the world as being a metaphor for mankind? So here you see the whole schedule of the crossbreeding, which is now 25 generations. So the way it works is I took a Belgian chicken, typical from Belgium, to crossbreed with a French one. I was invited to do this show on the border between Belgium and France. And so the big project was born. I went with that result to England. There I did the crossbreeding and listing gallery. Then I went to America with that result. So actually you avoid inbreeding. And by doing this in art spaces, of course, then it's not only about the chicken, it's a metaphor for mankind, I think. And you come up with a lot of kind of discussions, genetic engineering, cloning, but also multicultural discussion of our society, for example. Interesting is, where do we come from? If you say it's a metaphor for mankind, also the chicken comes from one source, like I said, the red jungle fowl that lives at the Himalaya. And look what we actually did. We were using every little part of this animal and spread it all into society and using it. And there is always the line, where do you use it and where do you abuse it? So what is our position is actually a very main question. And if I hear Christophe, that also Attenberg is asking that same question, are we part of nature? Instead of trying to abuse nature, we have to be careful. That's why I use this image. Are we fertilizing the world, or are we ruining the world? So my installation, and I think this was a very important installation, which was already in 2010, that I was making modified spaces, that was already dealing with the virus that was coming and was going all over the globe, by letting here in Guangzhou, the Chinese people crossed across the installation of the jungle, where you can look to the jungle fall. So the question is, what do we have to protect, ourselves or nature? And then you come into another space, which is a refrigerator, where all the eggs of a domesticated world is lying. You know, all is ordered like we are doing in our society. And then the question, the big incubator, because this is a Nepalese who's sitting on the border between jungle and civilization, and looking into the jungle and then look into civilization. Actually, we need a huge human incubator to get a new renaissance, actually, to have a new rebirth and to rethink all the things. So that is a little bit the history about my work in very few words. Here you see a schedule, I think, which is important. This one is my first sketch, like the jungle fowl being the paradise bird, you know, that lives separated in the jungle and then gives all its genetics to the world. And today we are coming to that new point, the transparent egg, where the combination of all these genetics is coming together to get a new ID. And so my conclusion is, by seeing this, that fertility has to come from outside. So that you have to let yourself being fertilized by other professions than art in itself. So that's why I need, and the industry, I need scientists, I need biologists, sociologists, and all kinds of people. So I started to make my open university of diversity, which is actually a breeding place with foundations, which now we have the most important foundation, which is the Mount Foundation, where art, science, and people for diversity are coming together and looking to that transparent egg where I was talking about, all these ideas of crossbreeding. What is crossbreeding giving us? And I was very lucky that one of the most famous scientists here in this picture, which is Jean-Jacques Cassiman, was joining the foundation, and he's a human geneticist. But also the biggest chicken industry showed interest in the crossbreeding of the chickens, because they have an interest in what happens when an artist who is dealing with a totally freedom, what is happening with the genetics inside of all these chickens. And this is what we discovered after 25 years, that the chicken that I'm breeding, which is not one chicken, but it's a bunch of chickens of diversity, that the diversity, the immunity, and the fertility increased enormously from 5 million DNA to 30 million DNA. There is no more DNA, but there is more copy on the DNA. So it gives more chances to survive. And this was for scientists a breakthrough that it could happen. And this is a project that I did with Christophe de Jager, I Love Science, where we were presenting these books, but also in Beaux-Arts, where he is the curator, we were presenting the DNA and the chicken, where we discovered this, this bunch of DNA of 30 million. And then on a certain moment, I start to think, yeah, what to do with this? Because many scientists were telling me, this is a breakthrough in science. You have to do something with it. And my conclusion was, diversity is not enough. So because I was really focused on the diversity. And then I came up with another idea. I said, why don't I start to crossbreed the society, but through a project that I call the planetary community chicken. And what does it mean? I take the chicken from the cosmopolitan chicken, which is the 30 million DNA chicken, to crossbreed it with a local commercial chicken. And this is actually very interesting. I was invited by the Westerman Foundation here in Detroit because they told me, you know, we had the car industry here and we were completely destroyed by a monoculture, and you have a project that is dealing with diversity and also respect the local. So you come in with a kind of global chicken to crossbreed it with a local one. And this is kind of a balance between global and local. So I let the people there in Detroit participate in the project, and also the university, and started to crossbreed there on the spot this new chicken, which is actually a crossbreeding between diversity and productivity. At the same moment, I was working in Zimbabwe with the same thing, with the Future of Hope. And here you see Zimbabwe, the installation where the chickens are in the museum. That was even during Mugabe's present. And so you can imagine that he doesn't like that the people from the community come inside of this museum and think about a sustainable chicken, because this is a sustainable chicken that can live in the communities. And this project, which is in Ethiopia, that is actually the main project on the planetary community chicken. It's Incubated Worlds, which is sponsored by the ILRI Center, which is the biggest center for livestock in Africa and South America, supported by the Rosalind Foundation and the Gates Foundation. So they called me and they said, you have the breakthrough to come into the communities in the poorest areas. And I came up with this installation, which is there permanently, which tells the global only exists by the generosity of the local. So I start to understand that we need this balance between these two big things, and that we have to respect. And that's why we started to create, together with Tadele Desi and geneticist Olivier Hanot, this big farm, which is now supported by these foundations. The Gate Foundation now wants to bring it over Africa. But you see that the book of genome is laying there, and that the people who are involved in this crossbreeding, I mean, all these different countries are reading their genomes. So the global only exists by the generosity of the local. I think this was a kind of statement which was so important. So I started to develop other ways of crossbreeding, like here, the Awaken and Light Bank, where I saw through a scientific research that camelids, for example, has a double immune system, which is very important in science to find something against viruses and bacteria in the human body. And I started to study that. And I brought this exhibition with camels, where we did this research, and breeding actually on the compost of the dromedary and the camelids in general, llamas, alpacas, mushrooms, and also brought this in the Biennial of Venice, but in different exhibitions in museums. So you were confronted with with a kind of circle where you increase the food chain, but also where you try to find the research how to help the human body fighting against viruses. And that we are doing with all our foundations. But the circle is this. So we produce mushrooms on the compost of camelids to let it grow. The mushroom is better, and the leftover you can feed to the chicken. So bringing people together and creating communities all over the globe, I think this is what this work is doing. And it does it on the level of science, and it does it on the level of art. And if those two things come together, you get a kind of social approach to communities. And that's why I make my project La Biomista, which is actually like a definition of what I was telling before. La Biomista, it's a new word that I invented, and it means the mix of life. And the place is actually in Genk, in Zwartberg, which is actually on the border between the city and the only national park that we have. And I started to talk with Mario Botta, which is a great architect and a good friend of mine, and started to think about what kind of architecture we put inside of that. And here you see the arc, the income. So it's like, I always said, it's like a pregnant site. It's a place where you step in, and once you're in the development of something new. Nothing is finished. Everything is an evolution in La Biomista. And the arc, for example, this is inside already, where there is an installation where I'm dealing with projects like the cosmopolitan chicken or cows that I give to communities. And then there is an old villa. The old villa, because this was a former mine site, but also it was a zoo 20 years ago. And then the zoo didn't function anymore, the mines all closed, and now I give it another destination. So together with the city, actually, because you have to work in this case with the city, I started to develop this big plan of making La Biomista as a place where we could think about, where we are coming together with people from all over the world to work in this open university on diversity, and also to work to have my workplace and my studio inside there, and to invite people to be part of this new creation of community. So the villa, there is the library, and in the library we are having all these ideas that I told you before. And when people like to sit there and to study, they can do that. But also this library is moving to different biennials around the globe. And this is actually the place in the villa where we invite people from different professions to come together and to speak with each other. The battery is my studio, also made by Mario Botta and myself. And it's like a communicating vessel between a greenhouse and an eagle house. The greenhouse, I always said, these are the lovely birds who are living there. And the eagle house, this is the predator. But both of all these birds who are living there, they're under pressure and almost extinct. But when you open the cage of the eagle and you open the cage of the lovely birds like the toucans and the turacos, the eagle will immediately eat them. And we as human beings, we are in the middle. So we're actually in the middle of nature, and we are not standing above nature. So here you see the protected birds in the greenhouse, and here you see the eagle who is standing above as being the big predator. But in between, it's my studio where I create all these works that's coming from life. I never kill an animal to do something with it, but they all die on a natural course. But also inside we have the lab where we invite scientists to do projects, to do research. Actually, when you leave this battery, you come to the Cosmopolitan Culture Park, where you can actually walk through 24 hectares of ground where you can see the llamas, the alpacas, the dromedaries, where we're working with all kinds of projects. This, for example, is the project that I did in Venice, the Live Bank, where I collect all seeds around the world, the forgotten seeds. And Lab Oval is our speaking corner, but is also the lab where we are doing the research around all the animals that we have in the park, but also inviting people to participate in different things. Very important actually is now that we have the Llama Winter, which is a very famous llama now, and this is the llama against COVID. So there is a great breakthrough on the level of nanobodies, so that the University of Ghent and the researcher Xavier Salens discovered that with nanobodies you can stop COVID. 2 days ago, there was a big interview here, and even he said that for 99% now, they know that through this nanobody and the double immune system of the llama, it will stop COVID to come into your system. And so you can cover it.
Colin, thank you very much for your speech. You can conclude your ideas in the very last moment of this panel, because I wish to listen also to the other. So, yes. Christoph, can you introduce our next guest, please? Christoph.
Sure, our next guest is Farah, who's in the room with you.
Okay, Farah, come here, come on stage. Thank you, welcome. She's Italian, but she lives in Berlin. She collaborates with the Institute of Biotechnology, and she's very smart in a process that mixes art, technologies, and science. Please.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank a lot Gluon and Meet for having me invited here and giving the possibility to contribute to this interesting and inspiring symposium. My name is Farah Peluso. I'm an Italian artist designer based in Berlin since 7 years. I'm interested to work with biology and living organism, and to propose through my work possible new relationship we can have with them. I adapt speculative design methodology, and I inquire into algae poetics and agencies. Like, for example, this project that I want to show you and present you today, which is Living Canvas. Can we go to the next slide, please?
This is you?
This is me. This was different me. In 2019, I developed and presented a project called Living Canvas, which was an artistic piece and a speculative design object that recontextualized an innovative biotechnology developed by a young startup. Living Canvas wanted to place inside a glass frame a living matter, a living material, which is the a biofilm made of algae, keeping it alive through an irrigation and light system, and transforming this frame into a sort of living canvas, living painting wall. Living Canvas wanted to place at the center of public attention a microorganism like a microalgae because of its strong connection with our existence as human being, because of its strong capacity as one of the main life generator on Earth. algae in general are one of the most important photosynthetic organisms together with plants, and so they are responsible for the production of the oxygen that we breathe every day. Can we go to the next, please? So Living Canvas was developed and possible by the collaboration of 3 main actors, and founded by one of the main energetic company present in Germany, which is the Innogy Foundation. So the first collaboration started between me as artist and the State Studio Gallery, which is an exposition space present in Berlin, which can be considered a kind of incubator, and they are interested to push and promote collaboration between artists, industries, and also institutes of research. And then together we started to work with Solaga, to collaborate with Solaga, which is the startup that developed the material and the technology that Living Canvas use. Can we go to the next, please? Solaga, as I said, it's a young German startup. They work with an extremely interesting biological structure, which is this algae biofilm, which is technically a living matter. The main of this startup is to place this biofilm inside a panel and keep it alive, and use this panel as a system to keep to feed this microorganism, but also to work as air purifier. So this panel, it's able to absorb all the pollutant agents and at the same time to produce oxygen. Can we go to the next, please?
How often do you need to feed the algae?
In general, depends which kind of feeding system. But with Living Canvas, let's say that every month we went there to check how the microorganism was.
So I can get on holiday and then come back with the
absolutely,
algae alive.
Absolutely. They are quite strong and autonomous organisms. As an artist, being an artist that work with living organism and a new technology, and using them as the main medium for my work, doesn't mean that I want to give to my work an outcome necessarily connected with aesthetic decoration or production purpose. I'm interested to raise critical questions, and for this reason I constantly look at the speculative design practice, and through my practice I'm interested to propose possible coexistence that are not made of competition or exploitation, but are made of respect of ecosystems. I wanted to question how the machines today can help us to find the balance between the need of consuming and the limits of resource presence on Earth. Question how the machines today can not change the world we are living, but they can help us to change our way we conceive and live it. To do this, of course, it's important to open the doors of different fields, and to find connections, to create connection between the actors. I believe that when artists and designers meet industry, new scenarios are open, and this means that we can create new typology of objects that can be more human and more sensitive. And this object can help us to become more humans and more sensitive. So to conclude my intervention here, and I want also to say that I strongly believe that watching at the diversities present in nature, passing through the scientific and new technology research and through the industry practice, can be the way to change our way to be humans.
Thank you, Farah. Frederick, our third guest is an entrepreneur. This is something out of the art field. Can you introduce him?
Yes, Stefan, hello, welcome to Milano. Stefan is entrepreneur with whom we work together with Center for Fine Arts, because Snowball became a regional S+T+ARTS Center, and we have been collaborating a lot on art, science, technology projects.
Okay. Not sure, do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So, yes, hello everybody. My name is Stéphane Grosjean. I'm an entrepreneur. No, my parents were designers and artists, and it's a bit the other way. So I'm the engineer and technologist and entrepreneur, but have some affinity, of course, and feeling for arts and industrial design. And do you hear me? Yeah. This is actually what I'm doing. I'm creating products, and I focus on things that are important for me. Now, for 30 years, I'm making products that try to save the planet by measuring energy consumption and making people aware. We all know that actually our children. Guys, do you see me?
We see. Yes.
Okay. We all know that actually we got a nice planet, and I think our children deserve it as well.
I don't know where it comes from.
It's probably not.
No, okay, you can go on.
And actually, I think we always hear about the 2%, the 2 degrees, and people think, well, if it's 2.5, it's just half a degree, it's not important. Well, most people don't know that 2 degrees Celsius is a tipping point. It's like snowflake. One extra snowflake will make the avalanche fall from the mountain, and you can't ask the snow to climb again on the mountain. It's too late. It happens. And the same with the planet. So I think we need to sensibilize people and make them really aware that this is not a reversible thing. Once it's too late, it's too late. So I still think we can do something about it, but really we have to act now. And we have to act all together, like other visionary people like Bertrand Piccard, a solar aviation pioneer, also says we have to do it together. It's not just one person. Also, the UN defined goals, and that is what, with the S+T+ARTS Center in Snowball that I tried to found, Snowball being an accelerator for other clean tech companies, and amongst other my own company, SMAPI, residing there. We tried to focus on common goals, and those that we selected were the UN goals related to saving energy, affordable energy, smart cities, smart grids. And I also believe that actually energy should be cheap so that we can use it abundantly. because 1 second of the sun provides us the whole energy that the planet is using for a whole year. So there's abundance of energy, we just need to convert it. And nuclear was a solution. It was a good solution for the planet in the sense that it doesn't emit CO2. However, it's dangerous for the people. And okay, we haven't chosen it. I'm happy as well, but we have to go really high speed to solar and wind. Now, the only problem that we have with solar and wind, and that's where technology has to help, and where we all together have to help, the big difference is that, like a gas or coal electricity power plant, if you needed more energy, you just had to turn the valve on, put more gas or coal into the power plant, and you have more electricity. The sun and the wind cannot be turned on. So the difference is that we have to consume more or less when there is more or less wind. Instead of changing the quantity we make, we have to change the way we use energy. And that's the big energy transition thing that we will have, and that is where I help with technology to help buildings, large buildings and homes and users to reduce automatically the energy consumption when there is less energy available in the network, so that we don't have to put lots of batteries. We'll definitely need them, but we can use technology. And I really believe that technology now offers a number of opportunities to change people's behavior, to help this big thing happen, that we can enable this and speed it up. If the products are nice, simple, appealing, and I like to compare it with the iPhone. Steve Jobs had that crazy idea, but he changed the world, as he said, that this one device called a phone could also do emails, could be the camera, could be so much more functions combined in one. And if you think about it, it is more sustainable. Instead of having 10 devices with 10 batteries, you have one device that you use intensively. So it is sustainable, it is good, and it was an opportunity to develop new things that improve the world and humanity in a certain way. So I believe energy can do the same as an entrepreneur. And as I explained, the big challenge that we have in energy transition is the fact that we cannot control the sun and say, you have to shine now because we need energy, or wind, you have to blow now. So we need to optimize the way we use energy in our homes. And that is where we will see in the future something called a HEM, a HEM, standing for Home Energy Manager. And this is actually what I make with my company called SMAPI, devices that measure, show people what they consume, because many questions I received from people was, where is it that I consume all that energy? What is it? And we used artificial intelligence like Shazam. We hear the melodies of your appliances by measuring just with one sensor, this one, on the total wire that comes into the home. We measure like a microphone thousands of times, and we hear the melodies of your fridge and your different appliances. And so we were able, with this little sensor, to split you the bill without putting meters everywhere on each device. We just hear an appliance turn on the lights, and we measure how long and how much they use. And we created a detailed electricity invoice where the total is split up in your different appliances. And this simple thing makes people save 12%. Without changing the light bulbs and changing the bad fridge that consumes more than a modern one, we just show them that, and the fact that they understand what energy is, where they consume it, just saves 12%. And I've seen that we can go to say 40, 45% if people start to act on the data that you present. And so I believe that technology, if you push and use innovative ideas, artificial intelligence, which is not the standard thing, you have to really go and push. You can give people tools, as Picard said, we have to do it all together. You can give people tools to really achieve this saving of energy, because this is the best way to help the planet reduce the energy consumption without losing comfort. An example, there are maybe 15-year-old fridges, they still cool and the lamp goes on when you open the door. But if you see the consumption, they consume 5 times more than a modern fridge. And when people see that, and that they understand they spend $200 or euros a month more, a year more for that fridge, they change it. Because, yeah, they suddenly understand. So information, making it simple, visualizing that through apps, live, you turn on something, you see what happens, is actually what we do with our technology that are in homes. And we try to use energy and turn on your heat pump when there's abundant energy to help the transition to that energy that is produced when there is wind, and we stop doing that. And a new important opportunity with those products that we try to make nice, also nice looking, simple to install, is the electric vehicle. We are going to migrate, and an electric vehicle is consuming as much as a home. We can't get that electricity through the networks. There's too much power going through. So we will have to use our own solar energy. And that is actually what we try to do, create EV chargers that have intelligence, that charge when there is solar energy, or when the price on the market, the spot market of electricity is low, or even negative. They say, we have too much wind, we have too much solar, let's please take that energy, we'll blow up the electricity grid. Then the cars start to really drain that current and charge. And as such, we use that energy when possible. It can be cheaper, so it's motivating people to do it, because you have this algorithm that makes it better in price for them to drive electric and to use their solar. So they are incentivized to make it happen all together, while you're helping that transition to solar and wind, which is the more noble, big thing that we want to achieve. And when creating and designing that product, there's many ugly EV charging stations. I looked at it. I'm a bit a designer as well, entrepreneur of the company. And I said, well, you know, I have 40 of them on our parking lot. When we were building, the architect said, you need to foresee lights for your parking. And I said, well, having cables in the ground for LED transformers and then additional lights, I will have those EV stations. Can't I just combine the lighting with it? And so we had this little snappy hole in there that dims and gives lights and gives people an elegant, subtle lighting and feeling of security. And the back is actually a panel that could be used for signage and provide useful information to the people. And we try to make it really also nice, so that the minimalistic outdoor furniture starts to look attractive, useful, and combines the features like Jobs did with an iPhone. It's his camera. Well, for us, it's the outdoor lighting, it's the signage, and it's an EV charger that is smart because it's taking the solar energy and charging at the best possible way.
Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, Stefan, for your speech. There is room for just one question. If the meter staff can send me the question that are arriving from our virtual. No question. So I can thanks the panelists Freddy, Christoph, Stefan, Cohen, and Farah that is here. Thank you very much for helping us to understand better understand this meeting between art, science, and tech. Thank you, Farah, and thank you, everybody. Now, it's the final moment of our morning. La co-creation is possible, co-creare è possibile. E allora
co-creating is possible. So what are the perspectives and the outlook opening up in front of our eyes today? So we will be talking about this thanks to a researcher from Japan, but he lives in Europe, here in Linz. So he is the co-director of the Future Lab of Ars Elettronica, Hideaki Ogawa. Good morning. Buongiorno a voi, piacere per me.
Of your inspiration to better understand what is possible when art, science, and tech get together.
Yeah, so I just want to share my screen. Just a moment. Oops. So can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Great. Once again, thank you very much for inviting to me this really wonderful and very inspiring conference. I just observed the artist's talk and everything was very inspiring to me. My name is Hideaki Ogawa. I'm a director of Ars Electronica Future Lab. Today, I would like to expand about art thinking and also industry, how we are co-creating a new kind of chemistry between art and the industry. So maybe you guys discuss a lot about the impact of 2020 this year and how do you spend your time individually. So many people are of course facing two difficulties, also industry as well. But we are quite fighting with this invisible matters of COVID-19 everywhere all over the world. I think this opportunity is very important to stop to think how we are humanizing the technologies and what's going to be autonomy and democracy. And so I think many things should be discussed. And in this case, as my also impression from your talks today, I feel the importance of art more and more. I just want to introduce one quote from John Maeda. So he said, designers create solutions, artists create questions. I think this is quite inspiring to define the creative energies from both design and art. Designers can really push the direction for the future, but on the other hand, artist is always looking around, 360 degrees where we are standing on now. So again, coming back to the original my introduction about stopping to think. I think the role of artists very important to ask fundamental questions to where we are going to be. So I usually use this diagram to distinguish between design thinking and art thinking. As I mentioned, design can be shaping a direction. As you can see, this is really like a force, like a direction by creating creative solutions. At the same time, art can really be effective on looking around like a compass. Art can be really promoting and stimulating try and errors in many directions. So I think these diagrams might give you kind of understanding of what I'm thinking, how art and designs having a different kind of goal to really envision the future. But the point is, what I meant is not creating the kind of competition between art and the design. Rather, we should think of the effective linkages and the collaborations. But maybe today, there are many people who are coming from industries. I just want to show this another kind of diagram and picture to really discuss. Because conventionally, when you as an a designer, you get kind of commission or something. Always, clients are bringing issues or themes. Then so, designers need to deliver the creative solutions, and that is a kind of basic flows. But in our uncertain society now, so we needed to also think of the fundamental meaning of the issues and the themes itself. So this is a part that art thinking can be contribute. So what I mean is, again, I don't mean to make the competition between art and design, but just what about creating linkage and connectivities to make really our better society together. So as you can see now, art thinking can be contributing to the vision and the philosophy creation by creating creative questions. So then, quite often you might face some difficult moments when you communicate with clients. The clients are not bringing right answers, right themes or issues. So this case, art thinking can be bringing the right and essential so-called creative questions to start to be designed. So as Ars Electronica, as a cultural institution, we are very much interested in the effect of art and art thinking for our society. Then, so maybe you are interested in how, we are working for this art thinking. You are interested in this green part, how we are working for that. Probably many people today might know about our place organization, Ars Electronica. Ars Electronica is located in Linz, Austria, and we are a non-profit organization, and the activities philosophy is to focus on art, technology, and society. So we are owned by the city of Linz as a cultural, in a way, infrastructure of the city, and for giving the education to students, but also for the international creative hub. We Ars Electronica is functioned to make very unique creative chemistry among those domains. So for doing so, for facilitating art thinking, this picture might be quite interesting as a catalyst for doing so. So we Ars Electronica is not just a festival. We are not just pre-Ars Electronica, which is award. We are not just a center for museum or school for next generation. We are not just a laboratory. By the way, I am in charge of this laboratory. But all elements are actually very important, as you can see. So here is the driving force to make very unique experimental creative chemistry by art thinking for our society. So that's kind of our basis of how we are practicing art thinking by having the very unique instrument as a cultural organization. When we have a collaboration with industries, I just want to show some couple of examples how I'm working with industry partners to make innovation project. This is a very rough overview of how we are proceeding art thinking process in the collaboration. So first, we will have the inspiration phase. And the second is the envision, and the final is prototype. You can see that each goal, each will have each goal like inspiration, really creating creative questions. Then the envision is creating future sketching, and the prototype is creating vision models that people can discuss what is the future. So I just want to show case example, for instance, in the part of inspiration. By using our very unique infrastructure of our Sectonica, we are kind of lucky. Our Sectonica is always hosting very big, festival, but we have also the our Sectonica Center as a permanent, environment. So if, for instance, industry partners are participating in this art thinking program, art thinking initiative, we are always inviting those people who don't have the language and understanding of art to this creative, Amazon in a way. So I think our Sectonica Festival and our Sectonica Center is an ideal location to unlock the creative energies to open up many, directions. As I described, it's like a process to create your own compass. So here, still, we don't know where to go. The direction is not fixed yet. But by having really a very unique micro trends, of innovative technologies and artistic expression, this will be massaging the participants to forget about, the fundamental box. So to be out of the box. So I think art thinking tour is one of the nice example to do so. So in the first phase, in case, you can't come to the festival, we have also another type of approach to provide workshop. By the way, this afternoon, we are also conducting this art thinking card workshop. In this time, it's pretty hard to discuss, our future in the physical environment. So for those cases, we are utilizing art thinking card to discuss, the really inspirations. And the very important point is the artistic, impulse utilized for stimulating new inspirations. So that process will be giving the new kind of connections from your, conventional activities to be completely new domains. But of course, normally it's better to have the physical experiences, but we have also this choice. After this, of course, the first phase, inspiration phase, needed to reach to the point. So the goal of the first phase is to extract creative questions. Creative question means not just a normal question that you can answer yes and no. Creative question means essential, challenging, and catalyzing questions to really think of the 360-degree angles towards the future. So that is a goal that we are achieving in the process. And after having such kind of creative questions as a compass, we are stepping into the second phase. Second phase is the envision phase. Actually, the inspiration phase is not so taking time, like coming to the Ars Sectonica or staying in the Ars Sectonica Center, meaning like within 1 week. But the envision phase will be taking sometimes several months. But this is for future sketching. One of the example is that this was illustration made by FutureLab for jobs of the future in an automated mobility environment. So, but in this way, we are co-creating possible futures together with our partners. Then, so the most important point is to form the protocol and to make a new language within the company, because normally in the industries it's pretty hard to make it smooth. But by utilizing this phase, we are creating the language and also even kind of cultural kind of initiatives to bring this. This could be a kind of mission. So the goal of this second phase is shifting the creative questions to be future missions. It's actually not easy, to be honest, but we are shifting the questions to missions through co-creation with partners and sometimes artists from outside. But our Sectonica Future Lab is a kind of collective of artists, and we are co-creating such future possible scenarios together with industry partners. Okay. The final part is a prototype. This is a really strong part that our Sectonica Future Lab has the competence in vision modeling. Probably you might know a couple of examples from our place. Our Sectonica Future Lab is a laboratory and atelier in our Sectonica, and we have around 40 members, very experts from different backgrounds, disciplinaries, artists, designers, scientists, entrepreneurs, architects, social scientists. So we are consisted of very unique diversity. And as the team of creative, in a way, group, we are always researching and also really materializing the future moment. So this is one of the most famous invention incubated in our Sectonica Future Lab. You can see drones with LED, and nowadays you can see this kind of SPAC cells in many places. But the original invention was here in Linz and from our laboratory. In this way, we have our laboratory has in a way unique connectivity to industry partners or governmental sectors to do something together. So what you are now seeing is our kind of general activities and the services that we are working on. And as I mentioned, SPACs is for inventing the new media of the future. Probably in this community, one of the famous example might be this autonomous car type called F-15. We had a collaboration with Daimler Mercedes to realize this the first autonomous car of Mercedes-Benz. Why they came to us is, of course, they are super top level, collective of designers and also engineering. But for them, this was not considered as a car anymore. So they wanted to openly discuss the new meaning, new meaning of these autonomous vehicles to something else. So then we researched a lot in the context of communication with robot cars. So this is one of the example, but as you can see, we have a very unique also connectivity to communicate with such industry partners. This is, by the way, latest our research topics. By having those special expertise, what we are doing is such prototyping to realize the future moment together with our partners. Then, so I just want to show more concrete example how what kinds of outcomes are created besides those examples. One of the example is also today, some people might be from telecommunication company, but we are working with one Japanese telecommunication company called NTT, which is a ex-public telecommunication company, but now privatized. We have started the research collaboration to envision the future new sports experiences or audience experiences for large scale of the event. So our collaboration was, in a way, applying our research of swarm technologies to, new communication technologies. This is one of the demo to materialize the future remote public screening experiences for sports event. So in 2020, you remember, still hope we could do something. So our collaboration was to deepen the possibilities of the new sports experiences for remote audience. For example, the drone could be a signage for showing the status inside of the stadium, or this groundabout could be indicating the new record or participatory comments from audience from all over the world for the sports event. But through the tangible kind of performative presentation, we could envision such a model. So this was in 2018 when we materialized such a future moment together with NTT researchers. But based on that, also we expanded research, by focusing on these bots. And you can see now swimmers, what if the swimmers can be conveyed from remote actual venue to be remote places for public screening, or for special ceremony use, and so on and so on. We made a very attractive presentation to present the very interesting applications of swarm technologies for entertainment. But also in the process with our artists and also external artists, in this case, Akiko Nakayama and Eiwara, we opened this kind of medium for artists as well. So in this way, I think this collaboration, as I mentioned, NTT itself is the infrastructure company, like a telecommunication company, right? So you can imagine you are, countries, governmental telecommunication companies are very traditional, right? But they could be, in a way, also challenging through this kind of artistic process to envision their new role as kind of creative infrastructure provider. So that's very interesting, one of the ongoing project. And the next case example is probably, some people might use a pen tablet from Wacom. And also we have initiated a new collaboration and alliance with the Wacom from this year. The idea is really to think of what's the meaning of our soul. So our laboratory and also Wacom CEO really had a very nice discussion and an engagement to really contribute to, to create new educational opportunities and also research for humanity by developing new ink and a new tool. And we have just really started collaboration, connecting their, pen tablet and also our drone technology together. So the idea is, in a way, space ink. Space ink allows artists to create your social object in public spaces. Still, it's an ongoing process, but this year we focus on the first phase to connect their technologies and our technologies to envision this kind of the future. So again, the impact to them is not just, expanding their digital ink, digital technologies, but creating new opportunities for artists, creators, by providing a new notion and ideas as space ink is one of the ongoing outcome that I can tell you today. But in this way, what we do is always providing and creating tangible future through artistic thinking. And also in terms of the collaboration with industry, I think they are considering this kind of collaboration is a new kind of challenge for creating, their own responsibility. And I say responsible creativity is very much discussed in our collaboration by having art thinking. But of course, for such industry partners, the chemistry between our artist collective and also industry thinking, we are always creating new opportunities for people to participate in the open dialogues. So, but, through the tangible corroborated identity process, I say TCI instead of a typical CI, like logomark, but the tangible CI allows us to open such, new physical experiences to discuss what's the meaning of humanizing technologies, what's the meaning of social implications by the trial and errors. So in this way, I just mentioned about the general flow of art thinking that I'm facilitating by having a very unique instrument of Ars Electronica ecosystem. In the phase always, actually, our partners are coming back, to continue the loop. So which means art thinking can be a new, not just I would say it's not a method. I would say art thinking is a new kind of mindset and attitude to think responsible creativity for envision our future society together between art sectors and industry sectors. So so I explained about our process. Thank you for listening. So creative our compass, envision the future. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Hideaki Ogawa, co-director of Ars Electronica Future Labs in Linz. I switch to Italian, so please change.
Okay then, so let me now switch into Italian. So this is it, with this long, interesting morning made of discussions and debates. So this is a sort of an encounter between different disciplines, arts, technologies and sciences. Hideaki Ogawa will be with us this afternoon from 2:30. He will be managing one of the two insights this afternoon, talking about innovation. The second insight will be led by Lorenzo Gerbi, whom we have just met in the first panel. For all the others, there will be a final event between, a final event with all the speakers. So let's say that the rendezvous is on the Meet website. So around 5 p.m. we will have the videos possible with the final outcome or final result. This is it then with the very first part of this long day, our reflections. So this is the morning session. Well, just like you, I have received, plenty of ideas, plenty of, lights switching on in my mind. I'm thinking of, rational engineers. Engineers share with us their vision, so they sort of share with us an instruction manual. Well, when thinking of the instruction manual, I'd like to say that for artists and, creative people, there's plenty of things to do. And of course, I'm thinking of an entrepreneur putting together art and technology and research. I'm talking about Elon Musk. Musk says that every product, every service that requires an instruction manual is a broken, rotten product. Thank you so much for spending the morning with us. Enjoy your lunch and see you this afternoon. Thank you.